Ready? Good morning, everybody. So, this is the public hearing portion of things. We, so what, if you want to, show support for the people that are speaking, what we do is what we do for the deaf and hard of hearing community. We go like this so that we can keep the process moving. Not something you're normally used to, but it's what we do here. So we want to keep it moving so we can get as many people's voices on the record. If you have any questions relative to the process that's going on, we have staff over here and over here that will be happy to answer any questions. And we have 57 people speaking today, which is not a large, long public hearing. You can count on us being here about maybe 3 hours or 4 hours. We are usually here till 3 or 4 in the morning, so this gets this issue right on, right out there. So first up, we're going to have the Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, come up. Madam Secretary.
Good morning. I have a feeling I won't be the longest person in this hearing today. Good morning, co-chairs, ranking members, subcommittee chairs, and members of the committee. I'm here to speak on SB 17. As you know, Connecticut's launch of early voting this past November was a tremendous success, with over 740,000 ballots cast during the 14-day early voting period in November. However, while the 2024 elections confirmed the value and benefits of early voting, they also highlighted a critical issue: the need for adequate funding for our municipalities. I support the intent of SB 17, but urge a few amendments. A shift in the funding language from reimbursing costs to proactively offering grants so that municipalities can prepare appropriately. I suggest a minimum allocation of $5 million. This is what OFA estimated last year it would cost for every municipality to have one early voting location. I am concerned that now, with a year of experience under their belt, some towns may need and want additional locations. If so, the budget should be adjusted accordingly. Or you might consider, this is something that came up last year, pre-funding one location in every town in a reimbursement model for additional locations. And lastly, we urge either disbursement through our office or ask that OPM works with our office to equitably allocate funds. We saw how ineffective it was to give every town the exact same funding, regardless of size of voter base, etc. The funding should be based on a strategic formula that accounts for many factors, including number of registered voters, number of eligible voters, voter turnout rates, etc. And I believe our office is best poised to understand these subtleties. I appreciate the committee's attention to this important issue. I have no further comments, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set. Do you really want to do this right now? Do you see the audience? There you go.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Up next is Helen Sullivan, Teachers Retirement Board. She's online. Helen, the floor is yours. You're muted. You're muted.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am here to testify on 3 items: HB 1524, SB 779, and SB 1525. I'll keep it short and I'll give you a summary of the highlights. And then if you wanted to ask me some questions, that's great, or you can stop me anytime. We are opposed to item 1524, the inclusion of the Connecticut Association of Schools. This has been an ongoing issue for the past several years. They are not a governmental entity, and they do not meet the IRS requirements, nor would they ever meet the IRS requirements to become part of the teacher's retirement system. This could lead to the disqualification of the plan, and including that would, if the plan was disqualified, we would lose our status, and the plan would be no longer exempt, and teachers would have no pre-tax benefit, and they would have to be contributing post-tax. The other item that I'd like to discuss is item 779, which is an act concerning retired teachers to be employed in a full-time public school. That has a major impact on the plan. We feel that it would incentivize teachers to retire early, go back to school without any limitations, and there'd be a lack of mandatory contributions, which will create a much liability to the state. Cost estimates regarding these factors, we expect the unfunded accrued liability to increase by $428 million. The funded ratio would decline from 62.3 to 61.7. The state's contributions would increase by $49 million annually. The actual cost impact only stands to increase the state's liability on this. So we are not taking these lightly. Also, our plan, item 1525, we are hoping that we can finish up getting our statutes that we worked very hard on for the past couple of years wrapped up. We've got some minor technical changes. We seem to be getting held up with the Hamden Children's Center because we have been trying to eliminate and sunset that particular nonprofit entity who will not meet the requirements of a governmental entity. They are the only non-governmental entity left in the TRS system. So we are hoping that you'll take that into consideration when you review our proposal.
Thank you very much, Helen. I don't see any comments or questions. Thank you. Up next is Evilise Correa.
I'd like to thank the committee for allowing me to speak today. First, I'd like to speak in support of SB 17. Inner cities pre-COVID faced a 45-minute wait faced 45-minute wait times to vote for their mayor, just like they did for the first time Luke Bronin was elected. Please pass this bill. Next, for SB 24, I'd like to offer amendments. If passed as is, it would hurt both incarcerated people and staffing levels. First, being that all mandated overtime should be exempt from this bill. A shift should be 8 hours, but chronic overstaffing has led to burnout in mental health workers, correctional officers, vocational workers, and more. Next, the state should delay enactment by 2 years to allow for major hiring waves and recruitment, as well as parole reforms and retirements. Nurses have come before this committee begging for more resources for incarcerated people. Correctional officers face high rates of divorce and cancer, and the state fails to offer programming for the state to allow prisons, or I'm sorry, let me start that one over.
No, that's fine.
As the state fails to allow programming for people in prisons to get rehabilitated, any proposed savings should immediately be invested proactively in these resources that both incarcerated people and staff have been begging for. That would mean a shifting of the fiscal guardrails. I would hope that this is proposed immediately. And also, I would hope that the state does pass another enactment of the bill that we spoke about in the committee before, because staff should be allowed to go to the ombudsman as well to speak about their conditions at work and allow for anonymous complaints. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no comments or questions. You're all set, Evilise. Thanks. Sarah Peters. Floor is yours.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Peters, and I'm a correction officer with the Connecticut Department of Corrections. I strongly oppose Senate Bill 24 because it unfairly targets state employees by removing overtime from pension calculations. Despite the fact of despite the fact that much of this overtime is a direct result of chronic understaffing. The overtime we work is both voluntary and mandated. While some officers choose to take on the extra shifts, many of us are forced to work overtime to maintain safety and security in our facilities. Even though we signed up for this job and understood the challenges, the reality is that short staffing makes it even harder. While you're at home with your families on holidays, we come in expecting to work one shift, only to be mandated for another 8 hours due to staffing shortages and emergencies. We often don't get to spend holidays with our loved ones. We sacrifice the time for the safety of the state. If the state truly wants to reduce overtime costs, the answer is clear: hire more staff. Instead of cutting our hard-earned retirement benefits, lawmakers should focus on fixing the root issues, filling vacant positions, and ensuring adequate staffing levels. I urge you to reject Senate Bill 24 and support the workers who keep Connecticut safe.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
That's right. Up next is Brian Anderson. Brian.
Good morning, Chairwoman Walker, Chairwoman Austin, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Brian Anderson. I'm Counsel for AFSCME's Legislative Director. Counsel for strongly opposes Senate Bill 24. This bill would ban overtime in a state employee's pension calculation. A worker's pension should be based on their true income, period. You will hear many of our members testify. They are eloquent. So I'll use my time to give some context to our opposition to this bill. This bill is generated by another union, a union of highly paid corporate chief executives, the CBIA. They've been trying to kill public employee pensions for years. They've been successful at killing their own private sector workers' pensions. The fact that public employees still have pensions is glaring to them. It makes them look bad. Make no mistake. Their effort does not stop with barring overtime from public employee pensions. Their effort is to kill pensions altogether. The biggest transfer of wealth of the last few decades has been the transfer of worker pension wealth to the pockets of ultra-rich CEOs. In 2009, the Cigna Corporation killed or closed the pension for its employees. As a result, the pay of its CEO has skyrocketed. David Cordani paid himself $92 million in 2021. Mr. Cordani did not invent insurance. He's a corporate caretaker. What did he do to create such wealth for Cigna, to earn such a payoff? His record is poor. Funny, even though Cigna gets billions of dollars in taxpayer, Medicaid, and Medicare funding every year, we almost never hear legislators criticizing the obscene overpayment of corporate leaders. No. We hear ad nauseum criticism of corrections employees, state police officers, firefighters, nurses, DOT workers. These are people who risk their lives every day for the public and strive to be in the middle class. Why the obsession with their pensions and the lie that they all received a 33% pay increase? They didn't. The Hartford Courant just reported that 40% of Connecticut residents are financially struggling, yet the rich have never been richer. Middle-class wealth has been transferred to the rich over the last 5 decades. Every working American should have a pension. The question for legislators is, will you stand with working families and oppose bills like Senate Bill 24, or will you side with the rich overlords who seek to kill off pensions for profit? Which side are you on? Thank you for your time. I would be delighted to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Not gonna listen. Don't listen. Robert Beeman. Robert, you're up. Floor is yours.
Good morning, distinguished chair members. My name is Robert Beeman, and I serve as president of the Connecticut State Prisons Employees Union Local 391, and I am a state employee of over 19 years. I'm here today to testify in strong opposition of Senate Bill 24, which seeks to prevent overtime payments from being calculated within the retirement of Connecticut state employees. A pension should be based on true income, not an arbitrary number that is established in some contract that fails to reflect the actual work performed by employees. Our overtime is not voluntary for the most part. It is mandated by management to compensate for understaffing. Our members do not have the luxury of declining additional hours. When a correctional officer is ordered into an extra shift, they do not have the choice to comply. They must comply or face disciplinary consequences. So in effect, the state is mandating additional labor while simultaneously proposing to strip the employee of their rightful pension benefits that should occur from that work. Furthermore, the nature of correction work is grueling, is stressful, and is inherently dangerous. The occupational mortality rate of a correction officer is 58 years old. That statistic alone should underscore the need for a pension system that recognizes the sacrifices made by those who keep our prisons safe and our communities safe as well. For many of our members, the prospect of a secure and stable pension is the motivation to endure hardships of correctional work, a necessary incentive to endure the physical and psychological tolls of the job. Senate Bill 24 threatens to take that away, reducing the ability of our officers to retire with dignity after decades of service to this state, at the same time reducing the appeal of public service work in our state. A mechanism by operating with fewer staff for the state is to have us work excessive overtime to avoid paying additional salaries and benefits to other staff. It is unjust to penalize the very workforce who have shouldered the burden of the understaffing. They should not be punished for working the hours that management mandates. Rather than targeting the workforce and harder pensions, the legislature should be examining the root cause of overtime, which is chronic understaffing. Hire more employees, which will reduce overtime rate naturally and ensure workers are not overburdened and fairly compensated. For these reasons, I urge you to reject Senate Bill 24 and stand with the hardworking men and women like those behind me who put their lives on the line and dedicate themselves to public service. I thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't think we have any questions. You do have a question?
Sure.
Trying to minimize our questions so we get them through, but before we have questions, Robert, could you have the two gentlemen with you introduce themselves?
Michael Vargo, President Local 1565.
Jeremy St. Pierre, President of Local 3-7.
Thank you. Remember, you guys, minimize your questions. Go ahead. Tom?
Yeah, one brief question here.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the life expectancy of a corrections officer. Could you just amplify on that answer? I know you said, what, 58 years?
58 to 60, but yeah, so with this work, like the PTSD rates and corrections work is higher sometimes of that of people who serve in combat. I'm a combat veteran also. So when you're constantly enduring stress, and with little relief, and you're also enduring the stress of having to be mandated, you come into work for 8 hours, having to be mandated, and you don't get to enjoy the process of releasing that stress, being home, enjoying time with your family, it lessens your life expectancy.
And I'll stick with the two-question rule. PTSD,
Yes, sir.
what kind of experiences do corrections officers have with that?
Morning.
Oh, I mean, every day you're, okay, so you have to be there. You're dealing with the state's worst of the worst a lot of the times. And you don't, like in the military, you deal with an issue and then the next day is gone. It's not like that for corrections officers. So I could go to work one day, get assaulted by an inmate, and the very next week, I'm in the same housing unit with the same inmate, face to face, one-on-one, no barriers. It's a stress. It's a stressor. You get PTSD, you have to deal with it, you have to come to work, and we should be compensated for those sacrifices.
Thank you for your answers there, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Up next. Up next is someone who's online, Miles LaFemina. Miles, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Chairman Walker, Chairwoman Austin, and esteemed members of the committee. My name is Miles LaFemina, a correctional officer, husband, father, son, and friend. I am here in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in the Connecticut Department of Corrections today to express my strong opposition to proposed Senate Bill number 24, which seeks to prevent overtime payments from being used to calculate the retirement income of state employees, particularly correction officers and other correctional staff. The overtime work by correctional employees in the state of Connecticut is not optional, it is required. And in many cases, it is mandatory. We are experiencing a critical shortage of staff, and these vacancies must be filled to ensure the safety and security of our facilities, and most importantly, the public. Due to the chronic understaffing, correction officers are frequently mandated to work overtime shifts to meet the demands of our state's correctional system. This is not a matter of choice, but necessity. Rather than penalizing the workers who are already under tremendous strain, the solution should be to address the root of the problem, the need to hire more correction officers. The current shortage of staff is directly tied to the state's failure to recruit and retain enough qualified personnel. Many of you just recently voted in favor of a temporary soft hiring freeze for state employees, which has only exacerbated the current crisis and further burdened the correctional workforce. The overtime that has become a staple for so many correction officers is a direct result of these vacancies. This bill would further punish those who are working tirelessly to ensure our safety and the effective operation of the correctional system. For many of these officers, overtime is essential to their financial survival. They are parents, caregivers, and the sole providers for their families. If this bill passes, there is a real risk that many of these dedicated employees will no longer be willing to take on these extra shifts. This would force the staff members to be mandated to work additional shifts, many of which are 16 hours long, which only increases fatigue and creates an even more dangerous environment. The current conditions as it stands are already alarming. Correction officers are paid for the time they are spent at work. However, their shifts often extend well beyond their clocked hours. When you factor in commute time and preparation before and after work for the next shift, for officers who are forced into these extended shifts, sleep becomes a luxury they can no longer afford, with only 4 to 6 hours of sleep in between these marathon shifts. Their ability to perform their duties safely is compromised. If this bill were to pass, the staff shortage would only grow, leading to more mandated overtime and creating a less safe environment for both correction officers and the incarcerated individuals they are tasked with supervising. The mandated out-of-cell time for these inmates would decrease, violating recently passed and implemented laws requiring increased out-of-cell time for the incarcerated population. This is a matter of public safety and worker fairness. Instead of passing legislation that penalizes hardworking employees, I urge you to focus on solutions that prioritize recruitment, retention, and support for our correction officers. We need more staff, not more legislation that punishes the ones holding the system together. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thanks, Miles. There was one piece where I think you might have said we voted on hiring freezes. Just like the federal government, the executive handles the day-to-day stuff, and we pass legislation. So we did not vote on that. You would not find that kind of bill to pass the legislature relative to hiring freezes. Representative Walker and I, and many of the people on here, those that have voted for budgets have voted for staffing to increase, but it is up to the executive branch to hire the staff for that. It is not our intention to ever downsize the workforce. It's why we continue to, Representative Walker and I in particular, continue to push the issue of filling every vacant position that we have in the state, no matter the job. It's something that we look on as a way for the executive to save money and use that to pay for other things. But we want the positions filled. That's what we do every year when we talk about positions. I just wanted to let you know that piece of it. And I hope you're having fun out in Eastern Connecticut.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 8 is Seth Freeman. Seth Freeman? No. Michael Pearson? Floor is yours. Good morning.
Okay, can you hear me now? So as I announced, Tom Titus, my union president. Good morning, Senator Alstein, Representative Walker, Senator Summers, who I don't apparently see in the room, Representative Nuccio, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Michael Pearson. I've proudly served the state of Connecticut for over 17 years. I am currently a lieutenant with the Department of Correction, a position that is classified as hazardous duty. I'm also a proud member of CSEA, SEIU, Local 2001, and a labor union representative over 25,000 state, municipal, board of education, active and retired public and private sector workers, including captains, lieutenants, counselors, supervisors, deputy wardens, Unified School District number 1 teachers in the Department of Correction. And I stand before you today to voice my strong opposition to Senate Bill 24, and I urge you all to oppose it as well. As a law enforcement officer working on the custody side of corrections, I feel it is important to share with you some hard truths. Truths that many of you have already heard and you're familiar with, but are worth hearing again. The life expectancy of a correction officer is 59 years. You've heard that before. It's 58 to 60. We'll go 59. Or a statistic of 5 to 7 years after retirement. And that depends on the age that you retire. For me, unfortunately, that means I could be 48 when I become that statistic. That grim statistic that correctional officers face is due to a number of issues. Correctional officers have a suicide rate of 40% higher than the general population. I've personally attended more funerals than I care to admit of my friends and colleagues. Nearly 20% of correctional staff suffer from PTSD. 25% struggle with depression. It's not just our mental health that is risked, it's our physical health as well. Research from the University of Connecticut has shown correctional officers have a notably higher rates of obesity, heart problems, digestive issues, other chronic health conditions. Many of us also turn to self-medication, which leads to substance abuse and addiction. These alarming statistics aren't random. They stem from the high-stress environment, dangerous working conditions, and the inherent risks of our job. Yet we show up every day to protect the safety and security of our state. We endure these challenges, and we deserve more than a suit and Hartford dictated in our pension plans, a pension we fought for, one we agreed upon through collective bargaining. Through my years of service, I've earned every penny of my pension. I've put in the hours, the overtime. I've faced the dangers that most will never fully understand. I've earned it for myself, yes, but also for my family. My wife has stood through me at all, supporting me in this challenging career, and my children. I have a 13-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. They've sacrificed alongside of me. I've missed birthdays, holidays, special moments because of the commitment to this job that I have. They too have a stake in this pension, and in the future, I hope to share with them when I retire. Let me also stress this. The overtime we work in hazardous duty positions is not voluntary. Due to the minimal staff and regulations, we cannot abandon our posts. Each and every overtime shift is mandated by law that we ensure the safety and security and the well-being of everyone in our facilities, the staff, the inmates, and the citizens of Connecticut. Every hour of overtime, every double shift is taking a toll on our health and our lives. These additional years that we should have be spent with our families enjoying our life that we worked hard for and securing the benefits for our future and our children are in jeopardy. If Senate Bill 24 passes, it will significantly impact the state's ability to recruit and retain qualified correctional personnel. It will make it even harder to find people willing to work in such dangerous and demanding professions. If we continue to strip away the benefits that were promised to us, including the calculation of overtime to our pensions, who will want to take on this hazardous role? What value is there in a pension if we're not able to enjoy it? If we don't survive long enough to retire in peace? I stand here today as a proud employee of the state of Connecticut, as a lieutenant for the Department of Correction, as a father, a husband, and a citizen. I am a union member who believes in the power of collective bargaining, and I ask you for your support in opposing this bill. Please do not strip away one of the few incentives we have left to work the hardest job in this state. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Tom, if you could just introduce yourself on the thank you very much, guys.
Thomas Titus, Correctional Supervisor Council.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Up next is Carl Chisholm. Carl? I think you're here, right? Oh, he's online. Is Carl online? No? Okay. Glenn Lungarini? Yes, no? Yes. Hi, Glenn. How are you? Floor's yours.
Thank you, Chair, Senator Austin, Co-Chair Walker, and others distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. I'm here today. My name is Glenn Lungarini. I am the Executive Director of the Connecticut Association of Schools and the CIAC. I'm here today to testify in support of Senate Bill 1524. Not to be confused with 24. I'm supporting 1524. A lot of people behind me there. So,
There is a lot of people behind you.
there are, yes. I wanted to clarify. So, um, this has been an effort by the Connecticut Association of Schools for several years to further our mission and the work that we do in working directly with students across the state, as well as working with principals. The Wallace Foundation has recently found that principals are the #1 impact on student achievement within our schools. We are responsible for working with our membership to provide professional development as required by previous legislation. Also looking at the way that we would qualify to be included in the teacher's retirement system, it would be very similar to what we have with our RESCs right now, where those are nonprofit organizations who work directly with students, and they are included, their administration, their workers are included in the teacher retirement system as well. I think the issue with the way that the proposal currently reads is that it reads CAS administration and support staff. That is not entirely what we are looking for. What CAS is looking for is very specific eligibility for employees and administrators that hold teacher certificates, are recognized by the State Department of Ed, that we do have at least 10 years of service into TRB to be eligible. Nobody can enter into TRB by becoming an employee of CAS, and they must be active in their enrollment in TRS for at least the previous 90 days. So anybody beyond that would not be able to activate it. By having that criteria in there, we do meet all of the issues that would follow under the definition of a governmental plan, and also any IRS issues that are subject to URSA. This has been substantiated in other states where the principals associations are part of the state retirement system, and that includes athletic associations such as the Kentucky High School Athletic Association that operates as a nonprofit, is not part of their State Department of Ed, but does have eligibility in their state retirement system. So there is precedent for this across the country. Again, we're not looking for everybody to be eligible, only those that work directly with the over 100,000 students that we have on an annual basis. We serve as the state chapter of National Honor Society, Student Council, and the State Board of Education Student Advisory Council on Education. It's that direct work that we're doing with students that make us similar. Also, we are recognized as an educational institution by the State Department of Education for higher learning with the work that we do to fulfill the coursework required to become a coach in Connecticut as legislated for the 45-hour clock hour course. That was the state universities that was doing that work along with CAS and CIAC. Right now, we are the only entity continuing that work because there wasn't enough enrollment in the state universities to continue those courses being offered. So again, with that, we appreciate that the Appropriations Committee has supported this to bring it up as a bill. We do understand that there are some language changes that may need to be made to ensure that we meet all of the criteria subject under URSA and the definition of governmental entities, but we do believe we meet those as precedent has shown in other states. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set, Glenn. Thank you. Up next, Brandon McLeod. Brandon?
Morning, everyone. How are you?
to set up something here.
Just make sure you're speaking to the mic.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear
we
me?
can.
Okay.
There you go.
Got it. Got it.
And you got to introduce yourself again. So,
Yes, Brandon McLeod.
okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Osteen, Representative Walker, ranking members of the Appropriations Committee. Brandon McLeod, better known as employee number 053631. I'm a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. Believe it or not, this is me when I began my career. Right here, you can see it. There you go. At the age of, in 2007, at the age of 24, I entered my career as a correction officer with hopes of providing my growing family the life they deserved. As employee number 053631, I was immediately assigned to the Supermax Security Prison, formerly known as Northern Correctional Institution. For those of you who don't know, this is where our death row and our other level 5 males were held at. While assigned to this facility, I would be assaulted over 5 times. Although this was not the job I had hoped for, I continued on with my career, serving the state of Connecticut, and ultimately doing what I felt was best for my family. Over the next 13 years, I would go through the ups and downs of corrections, working overtime many times against my will, but always in good spirits, knowing that I had a light at the end of my 20-year tunnel. Then in 2020, everything changed. COVID hit the world and hit the Department of Corrections even harder. We were all forced to work long hours in an even more uncertain environment. In September of that year, I would expose my family to COVID, as I was the only one leaving the home every day to go to work. I felt terrible. In 2021, with the hopes of things getting better, tragedy struck my life again. While working an overtime shift, I received a phone call informing me that my mother had had a stroke. Here's a photo of me and my mother. So while working that overtime shift, I got this information. I ran to the hospital, left my shift, still in uniform, just in time to say my final goodbyes. With 22 months left to retire, Senate Bill 24 would be devastating to employees number 053631 and put into question everything that I have endured over the past 18 years. So as I stand before you today, I ask you to oppose Senate Bill 24, not for employee number 053631, but for me, Brandon McLeod, father, husband, and son. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative DiCaprio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank you for your testimony and your service in our great country, too. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Lisa Amatruda. Lisa is not here for Senate Bill 24. Go ahead, Lisa.
You can add it in.
Good morning, Senator Osteen, Representative Walker, my Senator Eric Berthel, and esteemed members of the Appropriations Committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify on SB 17, an act concerning funding for municipalities for early voting costs. My name is Lisa Amatruda, and I'm the Republican Registrar Voter in the town of Woodbury, and also the chair of the Litchfield County ROVAC. The costs for early voting are especially hard on small towns. It's overwhelming and it's really kind of unsustainable without the financial help from Hartford. So just to put a little context in it for you, although I'm sure you're aware that the hours that increased for voting in a general election went from 14 to 134. And in primary elections, it went from 14 hours to 84 hours. And in special elections, it went from 14 hours to 62 hours. So we had to get the poll workers, obviously, for all that. We had to train them, schedule them, train them, prepare them. We had to set up for the elections for all of those days, as opposed to just one day that we did in the past. And just for a little specific to Woodbury, we have approximately 7,100 voters in Woodbury. And I just want to give you a little bit of real numbers that we worked with in Woodbury. And these are early voting numbers only, not the election day. So Woodbury spent $56,616 in early voting. And we got 2 grants last year totaling $13,640. So there was a pretty big gap there. Our whole budget for fiscal year 2023 was $52,000. So it was a significant increase adding that early voting in. And we vote a lot in Woodbury. So in May, we'll vote 3 times in May and June. So those we don't have early voting. But the general election cost Woodbury $37,185, which came out to about a $10 per vote. And which was great if you hang in there and listen to the next one. We had a Republican state primary, the whole state did, and we in Woodbury spent $10,546 on that, which was $165 per vote. So it's a lot of money. Presidential preference primary, again, that was both Democrat and Republican. We spent $8,885, which was $57 per vote, not thousand. And I have to disagree a little bit with Secretary Thomas, because I think that the way I would personally define successful early voting is if the increase in voters went up. It did not. We just spread out the number of hours. And so again, that's not for here, but I just want to say that, you know, like I mentioned before, that the early voting has more than doubled the cost for elections in our town. And in closing, I just beg you to please help the towns with this and fund early voting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wait a minute, Lisa, one question. Representative DiCaprio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did you provide written testimony by any chance?
No, I'm going to submit it after.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Lou Rinaldi, who's online. Mr. Rinaldi, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, members of the committee. I'd like to start by thanking you for the work that you do. I understand that your jobs are often thankless and you get a lot of flack from folks, and I appreciate you doing what you do for the state of Connecticut. I'd also like to, even though I'm not here to testify on Senate Bill 24 today, I'd like to say a big thank you to Brian Anderson for his testimony. Connecticut is ground zero for class warfare in America, and it's about time that more of us started to speak up on this publicly. And to that end, I'd like to greet the room and thank everyone for making your voices heard today. I'm actually here to testify on Senate Bill 1527. My understanding is that this bill expands DCP's regulatory responsibilities while providing dedicated funding streams for enforcement and consumer protection initiatives. Before granting DCP additional funding, authority, and oversight responsibilities, I respectfully urge the committee to fully assess ongoing concerns regarding fraud, malfeasance, and corruption within the department, issues that remain significantly underreported and unresolved. The public continues to await meaningful accountability on these matters. To be specific here, I exposed in 2021 DCP colluding with cannabis lab tests, Altasai in New Britain. The laboratory was exposed for colluding directly with the regulator to raise mold limits for Connecticut medical cannabis. That lab was later shut down with little fanfare and less explanation. To that end, I strongly encourage the committee to further engage with the auditors of public accounts regarding their ongoing audit of DCP for fiscal years 2021, 22, and 23. As of January 2025, approximately 55% of the budgeted hours for this review have been completed. The preliminary findings from this audit, even before its final publication, will provide critical insights that should inform deliberations on this proposed legislation. Ensuring access to the most current and relevant data will allow the committee to make well-informed decisions that enhance the effectiveness and integrity of this bill. I thank you for your time and consideration, and I would discourage you from minimizing your questions, because isn't that in fact why we're here right now, Senator Austin? So if anyone on the committee has questions, I'm happy to go into great depth about any of the things that I've said. I have primary source evidence for all of it, and I await any questions that may come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rinaldi, and we are here to hear from the public. That is our job. That is our job. Thank you. Up next is Stephen Monroe. Tomczyk. Are you online? Yes, no, no? Okay. Dan Livingston. Is Dan here? Danny, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, Representative Walker, Senator Austin, members of the Appropriations Committee. As the chief negotiator for CBAC and on behalf of Connecticut's 47,000 state employee union members, I urge rejection of Senate Bill 24. Connecticut's defined benefit plan is a way to encourage long service from its employees, thus increasing average skill levels, decreasing turnover costs, and improving services by paying benefits designed to reward those who stay until retirement. Almost half of its normal cost is paid by workers, and for workers hired since 2017, it's close to 2/3. But a pension plan fulfills its purpose because employees trust the employer's promise. And while Senate Bill 24 says the state's word means nothing, employees rely upon the promise of a pension at their own peril. Such an unreliable system inherently fails its public purpose. And it would subject the state to huge liabilities. First, remember that member contributions pay about half the cost of pensions, and they've been making those contributions on their overtime. Remove overtime from pensions, and the state would be legally required to return that money with interest. Second, this bill seeks to diminish pensions for the years employees have already worked. Unilaterally diminishing a contractually promised benefit is a recipe for liability. So the state gets all the downside of attempting to break its word to employees and doesn't save a penny. And Senate Bill 24 is profoundly unfair. Many of our workers, blue collar and white, are pulled away from their families a lot because their agencies are so understaffed. White collar workers, managerial and professional workers tend to have higher salaries, in part because they aren't paid overtime when they work extra hours. Blue collar workers have lower salaries because for extra work, they earn overtime. Removing overtime from pensions leaves managers and white collar workers alone, but cuts retirement benefits for snowplow drivers who spend 30 years of winters away from their families to keep our roads clear. And for nurses and CNAs who pay double daycare bills because they spend a career of constant forced overtime caring for the developmentally disabled or the mentally ill. It would cut retirement benefits for corrections officers, who many of whom you've heard from already today, held over almost every week of their career because there aren't enough coworkers to relieve them so they can go home to their families. And from first responders who can't go home because their job is to run towards the dangers that the rest of us run away from. Because of the stress and hazards of their jobs, as you've already heard, some of these careers have life expectancies as low as 59 years. All of them have higher and often much higher likelihood of physical injuries. And because our professional employee is disproportionately white, while our blue-collar workforce is much more diverse, taking overtime out of pensions would disproportionately affect black and brown workers. We need to treat all of our employees fairly, blue-collar, white, black, and brown. Senate Bill 24 does the opposite. Many politicians, like many companies, tell the public they are pro-working family. Walmart and Amazon in their ads try to look pro-working family while they treat their own workers like they treat mud on a new pair of shoes. Our state should be a model for those employers in our state who try to do the right thing and who respect collective bargaining rights, not one whose promises to its employees are broken in favor of the political theater of the day. Promises to workers count, the public services they provide matter, and the people who receive them matter. People are not disposable, but Senate Bill 24 most certainly is. We urge its rejection. Thank you.
Thank you, Bannon. Up next. Up next, any questions for Danny? No, Dan, you're all set. Up next is Karen Pachter. Karen, are you here? Says she's going to be online, but I don't see her online. No. Up next is Keisha Johnson. Is Keisha here? Up next is Barbara Crouch, who is online. Barbara?
Thank you, Senator Austin. Good morning to the committee. I am here to speak on Senate Bill 17 for early voting. First of all, I have to say that originally I was not a proponent for early voting. I'm from the town of Sprague and I'm the register of voters there. After seeing it in action, I am very much a favor. And even though the total number of voters did not increase, it gave the opportunity for people who normally cannot cast their vote in person to do so. However, the cost to Sprague was astronomical. We are a very small town, about 2,000 voters. We were able, because we are a small town and people really pinched in, we had people that volunteered to work for this session. So our costs were able to be in alignment with our grant because of the generosity of the citizens of Sprague. We are kind of facing a perfect storm coming up with the new early voting. Number one, there's a change in the computerized voter system, which means not only will registrars, but our election workers will have to have even more training this year. We also have new tabulators. Thank you so much for the new tabulators, which will also require additional training and additional hours. We want to make early voting and voting as sustainable and as pleasant as possible for all of the electorate. In order to do that, we must have support from the state. We cannot, our budget's doubled in Sprague because of early voting. We cannot sustain this on our own. And I agree with the governor that there was a mandate from the public to have early voting. However, that mandate did not come with a caveat that it be supported only locally. So I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. I also agree with Secretary Thomas that the cost for Sprague is very different than the cost of Norwich. So I can understand a formula being better able to meet those needs. And once again, I thank you for this opportunity. I'm in support of the continued financial support to smaller towns and to our cities to allow our electorate another opportunity to vote in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set, Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is Janine Brennan. Is Janine here? Floor is yours, ma'am.
Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and honorable members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Janine Brennan, and I'm a nursing supervisor for the Department of Corrections in the Corrigan and Brooklyn buildings. I've worked with DOC since 2010, and I've been a supervisor since December of 2023. I'm here today to ask you not to support Senate Bill 24. Working in corrections is not for everyone. I entered healthcare because both my parents were nurses. I was working as a labor and delivery nurse, and I learned of an opening in the service and corrections. A colleague mentioned that the state was offering great incentives, including a pension. And I was young and I couldn't really think of the future, so I chose a career that would think of it for me. But this job suits me. I love helping people, and I know that there are many incarcerated individuals that are in desperate need of care. The amount of clients we receive needing in-depth medical and mental health care is overwhelming. People are committing crimes due to their illnesses, and there's nowhere for them to go. We have to take on the task of treating people who do not want to be treated. It is dangerous. We also have an aging population. The acuity of illness is nothing compared to when I started 15 years ago. To continue giving the best treatment possible has meant increasing the care we provide. I used to work a lot of overtime. There was a period when I worked going in at 4 a.m., 2 to 5 times every week for nearly 3 years. I did this to cover the shifts during and after the COVID era. In nursing, overtime means there's a lapse in coverage, and there's only two ways to cover this lapse, or as we call it, a hole. Either someone's forced to stay in work, or someone volunteers to stay in their place. As a supervisor, my overtime is less frequent. I'll step in to help the nurses under me as needed. Recently, I covered a few hours so one of my nurses could attend his child parent-teacher conference. But doing less overtime now does not mean that all those times I missed out on time with my family shouldn't count. So I'm not speaking for me today. I'm speaking for my staff, my colleagues, my DOC friends. If the state removes overtime from the pension calculations, what incentive is left? If you speak to any of my nursing school classmates, you will find that they make significantly more than I do. They always have. It's at least a $10 an hour difference between DOC nursing and the private sector. DOC also mandates you to stay. It forces you to work and miss key events with your family, all the while working in an environment that is dangerous. It's called hazardous for a reason. If all the time we work doesn't count towards a pension, what isn't the incentive to work there? It's hard enough to hire staff to get our jobs done. Don't take away the one thing we've worked so hard for. We take less pay, risk our lives, miss our families for the pension we've earned. Please reject Senate State Bill 24 and protect the pensions that state workers have earned. If every second inside those walls count for the incarcerated population, every second inside of those walls must count for staff.
I'm not gonna do it. That's a stubborn. Any questions for Janine? Seeing no questions, you're all set. Thank you. You guys aren't listening. Can we try this one more time? I'm begging you. They're all gonna yell at me afterwards because I make everybody else do it at every other meeting. I know you're stubborn. I get it.
No, they're angry.
They are angry too. Adam, next up is Adam Barber. Is Adam here? Floor is yours, sir.
Oh boy. All right. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Let's see if I can organize. All right. My name's Adam Barber. I've been a correctional officer for the last 17 years, and I'm here to strongly oppose Senate Bill SB 24. Over the last 15 years, state employees have on multiple occasions, 2011, 14, 17, given concession deals and contract modifications to help the state of Connecticut out when they're in need of financial issues. During these concessions and contracts, many changes were made that already limit the calculation of the pensions. In 2011, there was a salary cap that's outlined in Section 415 of the IRS Code. 2011, Tier 3 was created. Also, around 2014, there's a provision in the contract based on hazardous or non-hazardous with 130 and 150% pension calculation change. And then the major change came when we created Tier 4, which is already up for debate whether it's a competing type system for states around us or private sector. Removing overtime from pension calculations would alter the retirement benefits that many officers have planned for, especially those who have spent years relying on previously agreed upon structures. Modifying an existing contract retroactively raises significant ethical and legal concerns, as it breaches the trust between employees and their employer, potentially leading to legal challenges and a demoralized workforce. Telling an officer after 17 years of service that their retirement benefits have changed would not only be a devastating financial blow, but a betrayal of the commitment they made under the original terms. For individuals who have dedicated their careers to a high-stress, often dangerous job, sacrificing time with family and friends, such a change could be catastrophic. Many may have forgone other retirement options, such as 401k plans and others, under the assumption that their pension, including overtime calculations, would provide a secure future, stripping them of expected benefits that could lead to financial insecurity, force late career job changes, and undermine trust in the entire system, ultimately making it harder to recruit and retain officers in the future, which is a current issue as well. Working both voluntary and involuntarily overtime as a correctional officer is often a necessary sacrifice to keep up with the bills and build a secure retirement, but it comes at a significant personal cost. The trade-off is time lost with their spouse and children, missing birthdays, school events, countless family moments that can never be regained. The emotional toll of long hours in a high-stress environment, combined with the strain of being absent from home, can create distance in relationships and lead to burnout. Despite these challenges, many officers push through, believing that the sacrifices they make today will ensure their family's financial security down the line. However, when policies and changes and benefits are reduced, it raises the painful question of whether all that time missed was truly worth it. A simple approach to funding cost-saving measures would be elsewhere, rather than continuously targeting the state employees who have clearly become the low-hanging fruit in the state. They're the scapegoat for all the budget shortfalls. Instead of cutting from those who have dedicated their careers to public service, Connecticut should address excessive spending in areas that drain taxpayer dollars without benefiting hardworking residents. According to the Yankee Institute, illegal immigration costs the state over $1 billion annually, a staggering burden that could be reallocated at essential services. Additionally, welfare, unemployment, fraud, government waste, and even unneeded programs continue to eat away at the budget with little oversight. Even policies like providing free phone calls and text messages to inmates for taxpayers that spend nearly $10 million on this, further providing the state prioritizes those who have broken the law over law-abiding citizens. This is a backwards approach that treats criminals as victims while ignoring the struggles of middle-class workers who fund these misguided policies. If Connecticut's leaders were serious about financial responsibility, they would cut wasteful spending instead of constantly going after state employees who have upheld their end of the bargain. Thank you.
Don't go, don't go anywhere. Adam. Adam, you gotta come back. I gotta correct a couple things that you said.
Yes.
The Yankee Institute article was erroneous. They try to target vulnerable populations just as they try to target state employees. So they put out as many bad articles about all of you as they do as other parts of our job. And I just wanted you to understand that anything that they put out needs to be reviewed for the facts of the case. The number of the number that they got, that $1 billion for undocumented people, and we are only covering children. And I'm certain that you don't want to see children not get health care, which, by the way, they were getting anyways because hospitals are required to treat people that come to them. We were already paying for it. So I just want you to understand that that's a Yankee Institute low-hanging fruit talking point that gets people ginned up on an issue that is not factual. Some of what they write, we have addressed. We think that we should get rid of things like the cost of licensing to regular people because that comes in, it counts as a revenue for us, but we think that that unfairly targets middle-class people. So I just wanted to let you know that the numbers that they had there were not correct at all. The numbers are much smaller. The reason why the numbers they thought were that high was because when people were coming in that were Hispanic, they were marking them down as undocumented, whether they were documented or not. Whether they had always been Connecticut residents or not, they were marking them down because they said that their software program couldn't tell the difference. Well, I know how to tell the difference. I think you know how to tell the difference, and let's make sure that what we're saying is correct, because I'll always stand with you, but I'll always stand with people that are unfairly criticized for something that was not true. So I have spoken out against this erroneous study before, and I just wanted you to know that it is in fact erroneous, and I would encourage you to not always read just the Yankee Institute. I read them. You should read them, but read others that give out the actual facts of a case. So I just wanted you to know that. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it. Up next is Lynn Hagerbrandt. Lynn? Yeah, Lynn, are you here? No, what's going on? Up next is Nicholas Buckland. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn. There you are. I didn't see you. Go ahead.
Okay, hi.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. I am humbled and I'm honored to be here to represent the Parkinson's community in Connecticut. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Lynn Hagerbrandt. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2010. I was told by a well-meaning neurologist not to go on the internet, not to go to a support group, that I would be depressed. So I decided to make a change, and so I also have a background. I was a critical care nurse, and my specialty was cardiac rehab. So I actually, what I did is I started a Parkinson's Body and Mind program in Connecticut, down in Greenwich, Connecticut in 2018. Before that was a support group in 2014. And it is a program started by people with PD, including myself, to fulfill an unmet need. Parkinson's Body and Mind is a comprehensive exercise and wellness program for people with PD through local YMCAs. I stand before you today as a voice of thousands of Connecticut residents who live with Parkinson's disease and their families. This is not just a testimony, it's a plea rooted in experience, urgency, and hope. I appreciate the opportunity to testify in support of HB 7233 that could create a Parkinson's disease research account managed by the Department of Health. This is extraordinarily important that we continue to find better treatments and ultimately a cure. This is something that has humbled me to see other people suffering with Parkinson's disease and the impact of the families. It's dramatic. Parkinson's disease is an unrelenting condition that impacts every facet of a person's life, body, mind, and spirit. Every day, people with Parkinson's face tremors, stiffness, freezing, rigidity, and turns movement into battle, and cognitive changes into dim, once bright minds. Yet they wake up every morning and fight. Nearly 1 million people in the U.S., up to 10% of those diagnosed with PD, are in their 40s or younger. Predicting the number of people with Parkinson's disease has doubled from 1990 to 2015 and could double again by 2040. Right here in Connecticut, we have the power to make a profound difference. Establishing and funding the $500,000 Parkinson's research account, we would take a bold step forward for better treatments, early interventions, and one day, yes, a cure. One of the most promising areas of research right now is precision medicine, where treatments can be tailored to each person's unique symptoms and genetic makeup. This kind of innovation doesn't happen without robust funding and support. In addition, cell replacement therapy or stem cell therapies are showing great promise and other novel treatments. Connecticut has a chance to lead in this fight by dedicating $500,000 in research. You are investing not in science, but in the lives of your constituents, the mothers, fathers, grandparents, and friends who are counting on you to act. We don't know what this next research breakthrough will be, but we know this: it could happen here in our state with your support. So today I urge you to vote in favor of the $500,000 Parkinson's research account. Let Connecticut be a beacon of hope for Parkinson's community and a leader in the quest for a future without this disease. Thank you for your time, your attention, your commitment to this cause. Together we can hope into action and action into life-changing results.
Thank you. Thank you for your Don't go anywhere. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question, Lynn. Are you aware of UConn or Yale doing any of this research at this time?
Yeah, Yale's, there's research
Talking to
happening.
the mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, there's research happening at Yale. We actually, through my organization, Parkinson's Body and Mind, we promote research. A third of research is basically fails because of lack of participation. So I make it my business to really kind of promote research through my organization, Parkinson's Body and Mind. Not only that, we link researchers with people with PD in a speaker series program that I have virtually. It instills hope with people with Parkinson's to know that that there's scientists researching better treatments and hopefully a cure for Parkinson's. So that's been wonderful.
Thank you. I know of many actual gyms that now specifically work with people with Parkinson's. So thank you for your work, and I appreciate that. And thank you for your answers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative McCarthy Vahey.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Hagerbrandt, for being here with us. I am very pleased to see you testifying on behalf of Parkinson's. My own father succumbed to Parkinson's as a result of complications. And I wanted to just make sure that we can connect. We were able to pass a bill in public health last year to create a Parkinson's registry, and there is an active coalition. I wanted to ask you if you were engaged or were aware of that coalition, and if we could
make sure that you're connected with them.
I would love to be connected with that.
That's wonderful. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your good work. Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my father also
Oh.
succumbed to Parkinson's disease, and two of my sisters have been diagnosed too. So we all are starting to find out that there are many more of us out there that that are carrying the disease, and we hope that. We also are joining with Michael J. Fox Foundation. Were part of the group to come and talk to us about this, to ask for Connecticut's stand in this. So thank you for your testimony. And
Also, I want to mention that I'm the co-chair for the National Patient Council for Michael J. Fox. So,
well,
and so I'm very involved. So, you know, I just totally admire that organization.
yes, they were great. So
Yeah.
have a great day, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Representative Hoxton, sorry. You were pointing over here.
Yeah, because you wanted to speak too.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to, make my comments be heard that I just want to thank you so much, ma'am, for coming here before us and, bringing more attention to this issue. And, this is one of those things that I would totally support funding for. I just have a quick question, and I don't know if you would know this, through the chair, maybe the chair knows the answer to this. Would the funding for research be restricted to only sort of conventional research, or is there no limits onto or are there no sort of limits as to who can get the money for research? For example, would like alternative research, things that would fall into that alternative category? I know it's sometimes a stigmatized word. Would that be eligible for any money through this bill, through you, Madam Chair?
I can answer that question. He probably, the money in this is designed for UConn to do the research up at its medical facility right now.
Understood. So it's just narrowly tailored to that
There's not
particular institution.
really not a lot of money relative to the cost of research. So we would need to put much more into that. And, if people want to talk to us about that, it's something that we could look at.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely would. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to make one more comment that the medications right now for Parkinson's treat the symptoms. They do not treat the disease. Right now, the only disease-modifying treatment there is from Parkinson's is exercise. So that's why part of the reason I'm very passionate about this is bringing this to the Parkinson's community to help fight the progression of the disease. It's very powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to Keisha Johnson. Is Keisha Johnson here? Online, Keisha?
I'm here. Hello.
Go ahead.
I was trying to turn. Can you see me? I was trying to turn my camera on. Hi. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, ranking members of the Appropriates Committee. My name is Keisha Johnson, and I work for Osborne Correctional Institute as a correctional nurse, and I am a proud member of CEIU District 1199, New England. I offer the following testimony below in opposition to Senate Bill 24. State employees are often asked to take time away from their personal lives and their loved ones in order to work overtime providing services to state residents. We don't unilaterally decide whether or not to work overtime. Working overtime is a decision that is usually mandated upon us due to short nursing staffing levels in our agency. Through collective bargaining, we have negotiated agreements that respect the fact we are taking time from our lives while also helping helping for the state to provide services when they are needed. Our pension income should be based on our true take-home income, which includes overtime payments. At Osborne Correctional, we have an infirmary setting that needs to be staffed around the clock. Despite this, we continuously struggle with understaffing, and it falls upon me and my remaining colleagues to pick up the slack. Additionally, when new workers are recruited, they have to have the learn on-job training, which we will have to train them. Also, when new workers are, and it becomes my responsibility to train them. Because of this mandate, it is really difficult for me to spend time with my family or take care of my daughter who suffers from chronic asthma. It is bad enough that management lacks the leadership to fix the challenging situations, and it would be unfair for the state to penalize us on top of that. I am proud to be a state employee and provide services to the inmate population of Connecticut. We shouldn't be attacked or have our pensions income reduced when we work every day to provide a valuable service. We urge the committee to reject Senate Bill 24. Now you.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, we're going to go on to Nicholas Buckland. Is Nicholas here? Up next is Lori Carey. Lori Carey. Are you here? Deandra Brown. Deandra Brown. Deandra Brown? Yep, very good.
Hi, how you guys doing? Just want to say thank y'all for being here, and I appreciate y'all and everything you guys do for the state in general and for the world, because you never know what law you can change that can change one person, that could change the whole world.
Could you state your name, please, for us?
Definitely.
Keep going.
DeAndre Grim D. Brown. Hold on, I gotta unlock this. Okay, well, I'm having technical difficulties, but I'm here to discuss bill number 24. I just want to say over my 4 years of incarceration, seeing people go from shadowing 20 plus COs to learn the whole facility every year to absolute understaffing is very confusing and very complicated to understand. Basically, my name's DeAndre Gurney Brown. I'm an executive director of All of Love and Fallen Angels Music and affiliate of BLM Music Soul and Stop Solitary. I'm a musician, graphic designer, skateboarder, actor, and model, but I can't lie, incarceration. And while I have this on my ankle, I'm a prisoner. My inmate number is 428-807. I'm here to discuss SB 24. This bill aims to prevent pension spiking, a practice where employees work excessive overtime near retirement to artificially increase pension benefits. Now, I've seen people come in and out of the prisons, and a lot of inmates, we always have lockdowns. We wonder, is this going to be the time when we finally get 20 plus correctional officers so we don't have to be locked down? We get out ourselves. So we get disappointed every year. And we have to be on lockdown during this training also. So honestly, it's sad to see DOC fail to take accountability in their failed system. There are COs overworked to the point they're abusing innocent inmates. Working conditions are horrible, and we are ended up suffering because their job sucks. I also know their mental health is messed up because they keep getting mandated 16 hours. Hire more people, and please make sure to exempt mandated overtime from this legislation. Inmates need more times out their cell, and we are at the mercy of people who are stressed out. We need vocational programs, doctors, and nurses that can treat us without it being an emergency. dentists that work full-time in all prisons. We don't need COs coming in after arguing with their wives for missing Christmas. We want to be home with our families as well. It's not a formula for success. Danny Trejo, famous actor and former inmate, once said, if you're going to pray, why worry? And if you're going to worry, why pray? I'm not worried because I trust you, the committee will make the right decision after what you have heard and seen today. I don't mean to rhyme, but I also pray. In God we trust. Love y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Up next is Randy Collins. Randy here? No? Up next is Josiah Shelley. Shelley, SCHLE.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead. Online.
Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, Representative Dathan, Ackert, and the Appropriations Committee. It's good to see all of you. My name is Josiah Schley. I'm here to speak in opposition of SB 1527. As most of you know, the audit just came out yesterday with over $11 billion in financial mismanagement and or issues. This bill proposes to shift numerous programs accounts, including those connected to the DCP, out of the general fund into non-lapsing accounts. Well, that may sound like a technical change. This is anything but. Let me be blunt. The Department of Consumer Protection has not earned the public's trust. Over the years, the DCP has operated with limited transparency and questionable enforcement practices, especially in its handling of cannabis regulation. It has repeatedly failed to support medical cannabis patients, marginalized caregivers, and aggressively targeted legacy operators who provided for patients long before the legal market existed. We've seen the consequences of the DCP's lack of accountability. A sorry for a retaliatory inspection is not enough. We need that employee fired and ousted publicly. Over a decade, patients paid annual fees into the cannabis program, and now we've been forgotten. We see bills that help cannabis patients killed by the DCP and bills that don't help cannabis patients related to cannabis bolstered by the DCP. I want to talk about unfair. The DCP poisoned medical cannabis patients for profit in 2020 by allowing dangerous levels of mold during the COVID pandemic. They cannot be trusted with this money. I urge this committee to reconsider SB 15257. 1527, do not move these accounts without clear safeguards, independent auditing, and public visibility, and definitely government oversight. Our agencies must earn that authority through transparency and accountability, which they have not earned. And they've done exactly the opposite and continue to backslide. The only time I've ever heard back from the DCP was from their lawyer to defend themselves, not to answer their questions that I've asked or to support patients. The DCP's caused a lot of trauma for medical cannabis patients and a lot of people, and we should not be awarding them more and more power over the monies that they have. And I think a lot of you agree and may not say anything out loud. And I would encourage people to be louder about that, because medical cannabis patients have had horrible things done to them by the DCP. And so have advocates been attacked by the DCP. So please take a stand. And even if it's unpopular, please stand up against this bill. Don't let the DCP have this power, or amend the bill to disinclude the DCP. I really appreciate the committee for your time here today, and I hope that the right things are done, and I really commend everyone testifying on behalf of Parkinson's.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set. Up next is Jim Mahfood. Jim? Floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am Jim Matthew, the CEO of the Children's Center of Hamden. We have a 192-year history of meeting the unique behavioral, educational, and emotional needs of Connecticut's children and families, and we employ on average about 200 Connecticut residents at any given time. I thank you for the opportunity to testify in opposition of SB 1525, an act concerning the Teachers Retirement Board's recommendations for changes to the Teachers Retirement System statutes. Specifically in opposition of language impacting employees hired after July 1, 2025 at the Children's Center of Hamden, not being admitted into the state teacher retirement plan, a plan which the agency has participated in for more than 50 years. This bill will disrupt our agency's ability to recruit and retain certified educators and work against the needs of the impoverished and at-risk community we serve. As you know, the hiring climate in Connecticut is in crisis. The nonprofit sector has an incredibly challenging task of recruiting and retaining staff, as we cannot pay what the for-profit private sector or municipalities or even the state government pays. I know this legislative session, you and your colleagues have heard testimony regarding the severe financial hardships put on the nonprofit sector over the years due to underfunding or lack of COLAs and contracts. But this much needed retirement benefit takeaway is just another burden on our agency and our highly dedicated staff. Our HR department is overloaded with recruitment efforts in numerous positions, as well as our school specifically. Over the past year, we lost 15 staff to public schools, paying often more than $15,000 more than we can pay. And they also offer retirement, of course, but our losing the ability to offer the retirement only makes our recruitment efforts more challenging. So the center serves children from across the state and from multiple municipalities and school districts. We believe it's in the best interest of the state, the referring school districts, and the children we serve to allow our center's teachers to participate in the teachers' retirement plan, as our successful recruitment and retention of qualified, compassionate teachers will help ease the burden on all the school districts and towns we serve. I thank you for your time to testify today in opposition of SB 1525. And special thanks certainly for your efforts today and throughout the year.
Thank you.
Thank
Are there
you.
any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set.
Thank you.
Up next is Jocelyn Delancey. Jocelyn Delancey. Up next is Madison Beggs, State Marshal. The floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Senator Austin. Good morning, Representative Walker and other ranking members of the Appropriation Committee. My name is State Marshal Madison Beggs. I'm a New Haven County State Marshal, and I was appointed as a State Marshal in 2022. I'm here to support SB 1526, an act concerning health insurance for state marshals. During my 2.5 years as a State Marshal, I have spent numerous hours serving countless restraining orders on behalf of domestic violence victims for the state of Connecticut. I have been out late at night with a flashlight by myself to ensure the safety of those who are being affected by domestic violence. I have served seriously countless of those. And I'm out there by myself with no backup, no assistance, oftentimes concerned for my safety and my well-being. And on top of that, I also am a part of the KPS unit for the state marshals. So I also spend time executing KPS warrants for the Office of the Support Enforcement. And again, that's also a dangerous job because it requires me to apprehend individuals and physically handcuff those individuals and bring them to the court or bring them to the correctional facility. And again, that's a very dangerous job. Oftentimes, it requires us to do things that are risky. And on top of that, I'm also a father of 4 children. And some of you may be surprised to find out that though I spend 40 to 50 hours a week on behalf of people of the state of Connecticut and the state of Connecticut Superior Courts serving stuff, that all of my children are receiving Husky health insurance. So I'm working tirelessly 40, 50 hours a week to provide for my family, for the safety of others, yet my kids can't get opportunity to better health insurance. And I think that's a serious problem. I think that's a problem that we can resolve. And I'm hoping that me being here today, my presence here today, and speaking in support of this bill, that you will hear that cry from not just me, but other state marshals who are here as well, and urge this bill forward for the sake of the state marshals in Connecticut. So thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Have you looked at the context of the bill at all, Madison?
A little bit, but I know there's two bills right now, so I've looked at some of them, but yes.
Okay. The bill requires a certain number of hours worked like other state employees. And my understanding is that the health policies are available to you, but not to your family. Is that how that works?
So from what I understand right now, I have access to it, but I have to pay the 100% of the premium, which would be an astronomical amount with 4 children. And so I could get it right now on my current situation, but there's no way I could afford that for my whole family right now.
But other people have it right now
I
within the
believe so.
confines of
I'm
your.
not 100% sure, but I believe so.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set.
Thank you so much for your time.
Up next is Kate Diaz. Is Kate here? Or online? Up next is John O'Connor.
Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and all the members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is John O'Connor. I teach at Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, and I'm part of the current leadership of CSU-AUP, a union that represents 3,000 members across the 4-state university. CSU-AUP is part of the Connecticut for All Coalition, and we strongly support Connecticut for All's equity agenda. I'm speaking today in opposition to SB 24. It should be noted by this committee that this bad bill has no impact on CSU-AUP members. University faculty have no overtime. But CSU-AUP believes that all work should be rewarded, and this bill would hurt our public sector union siblings, and it should not move forward. Given the problems of recruitment and retention of public sector workers, if our agents were correctly staffed, overtime then it would not be a problem. In addition, if we increase the base salaries of all public sector workers, that would also help address this issue as well. There is no Connecticut without state employees. Our public sector is made up of many types of public servants, and it needs to grow, not be downsized or restructured. Some of the work that public sector workers engage in is dangerous and stressful. We should be celebrating that work, not worrying about how their pensions are calculated. The contours of our pensions have been collectively bargained. This committee should respect that and keep its hands off them. The workers in the room with you and those online are proud to be state employees. They are employees who want to provide the best possible services to the residents of Connecticut. CSU-AUP urges this committee to reject Senate Bill 24. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, you're all set. Up next is Josh Kelly. Mr. Kelly, I think it's just still morning. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Vice chairpersons, ranking members, and members of the Appropriation Committee. As you already heard, my name is Josh Kelly. I'm the CEO of the Thames Valley Council for Community Action, TVCCA, which is one of the state's 9 federally designated community action agencies with a mission to abolish poverty in our catchment area of southeastern Connecticut. TVCCA is here with the Connecticut Association for Community Action, CAFCA, to support House Bill 7232, which would conduct a review of state contracting processes and payment policies for service providers and nonprofits, including ways to streamline and expedite these processes and policies. Specifically, the bill examines and makes changes as needed to state agency staffing levels, identifies complications that result from tiered procurement process that may require multiple agencies and the Attorney General to review contracts, finds potential barriers that may prevent contract payments from being processed in a timely manner after approval, reviews the viability of using master contracts that may be amended as needed, and reviews feasibility of allocating carry-forward funds from the previous fiscal year to sustain the operation of existing programs when state agency contracts with such providers or nonprofit organizations are delayed. TVCCA and our sister community action agencies statewide provide essential health and human services to some of the most vulnerable individuals to households across the state, but the ability to provide these services is often put in jeopardy as a result of these delays. The ongoing challenges nonprofit service providers like TVCCA face because of the largely inefficient and ineffective state contracting process, as well as the associated payment delays that this causes. Contract and payment delays are systemic. The longstanding problems that come with them may cross state agencies, and TVCCA continues to deal with the after effects of these delays. As an example, in calendar year 2024, TVCCA was awarded and implemented a portion of the Department of Housing's Rapid Rehousing Program for Eastern Connecticut with another local nonprofit working as a subcontractor for us. We completed the work of that program throughout the year and kept money flowing to our subcontractors despite the fact that we were not reimbursed for this work until the end of January 2025. Fronting this level of money for an entire program year is not possible for many small nonprofits. And as we are seeing at the federal level, and even with some news that we've received from the state about some of our programs, this is getting harder for TVCCA to do going forward. As another quick example, in fiscal year 2024, TVCCA did not have its community service block grant budget accepted by the Department of Social Services until May of 2024, leaving us less than 6 months to implement the new approved budget. As a result, significant dollars were not able to be spent, and now in fiscal year 25, our budget was only accepted this month, now again putting us behind in implementation and expenditures by almost 6 months, leading to a slew of organizational, logistical, and programmatic problems that we have to deal with internally and carry forward dollars that we still have not been able to put to good use for the people of Southeastern Connecticut. The time has come to review and change state contracting and payment processes, and this bill will go a long way to initiate that change. I urge the committee to support HB 7232, and thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Josh. Any comments or questions? Representative Walker.
I just want to thank you for your testimony. We've been fighting this uphill battle for a long time, and it's really sad because you are doing the things that nobody else is being able to do. So we need to make sure that your payments and your allotments, just like every other organization or agency, comes at a timely fashion so that you don't have to live in a recession of funding. So thank you so much for testifying. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Up next is Mike Fargo. Is Mike here? Floor is yours.
Good morning. My name is Michael Vargo. I'm president of Local 1565 that represents correctional professionals. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on Senate Bill 24. I want to first say that I and the members I represent are adamantly against this proposed bill. Correctional professionals perform one of the hardest jobs in the country. We work with the murderers, rapists, serial killers, child molesters, and the most violent individuals in the state. We are trained to stay professional while providing a safe and secure environment for the inmate population and the public. We choose this career ready to work in a hazardous duty profession. We deservedly receive great benefits because we work in the most dangerous conditions. Many of us have had urine and feces thrown at us. We have cut down hanging inmates who have tried to commit suicide. We break up countless fights. We are assaulted physically and mentally. We run towards the danger when codes are called on the radio. We have been stabbed and severely assaulted. We choose to risk our safety every day to protect the inmate populations and the citizens of Connecticut. We chose this profession prepared for these threats, but we also knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel. When we signed up for this career, we were promised certain benefits once we retired. One of those benefits was our overtime being calculated towards our pensions. This bill would eliminate that from our pension calculations. This is a direct slap in the faces of the men and women in corrections that risk their safety every day to protect yours. My members have missed major holidays with family, birthday parties, anniversaries, and many other functions that civilians take for granted. This is due to the mandatory overtime that is generated in the department. The DOC is a 24/7 operation. If the facilities are not staffed properly, we get mandated to the next shift. We must stay. I've sat in front of some of you many times over the past few years discussing staffing levels within the department. We have been understaffed for most of my 18 years as a correctional officer. As a union official, I've asked you to hire more staff. Every time we ask, you say we don't have the money for it. If you staff the facilities properly, there would be little to no overtime. The union in the state has also made many changes to the CMAQ agreements in 2011, 14, and 17. We have taken zeros, we've added new tiers, we've paid more into our health insurance, and we've taken cuts in our COLA raises after retirement. I encourage everyone on the committee to think hard about this bill and the repercussions on the bill going forward. We are getting fewer applications for this job as every year goes by. There should be incentives for new employees to sign up for a job where they risk their health and safety to protect and serve. A career where violence and danger are part of the job. a job when the average age of an officer's death is 59 years old. Taking away overtime calculations towards our pensions is not the answer.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. Up next is Brian Mezek. Is Brian here? Floor is yours.
Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and members of the committee. My name is Brian Mezek. I'm a Connecticut State Marshal. I'm president of AFSCME Local 2193. I represent the state marshals across the state. Many of them are here today in the room with us. Sometimes we have a misunderstood status. Sometimes people in this building confuse us with the judicial marshals. So I'm talking about the state marshals. I think Marshal Beggs did a good job characterizing some of the challenges, the risks, the dedication, and the time that needs to be invested in keeping our court system moving. We provide essential notice, people's constitutional rights, keep the civil court system working. My members' jobs can be dangerous at times, time-consuming, requiring working early mornings and late hours. The Attorney General has written that our function is a sovereign function of the state of Connecticut. What we do is inseparable from the state of Connecticut. We have a unique status. We are peace officers. However, we are paid fee for service. That's the system that the state has set up, but we are agents of the state and perform an important function for the state of Connecticut. So the bill before you would provide certain state marshals with medical insurance benefits in the same manner as other state workers. Now, currently, we are already in the plans. However, we have to pay 100%, which is becoming cost prohibitive. It's also getting harder to recruit people to take on these public service roles. Now, our marshals serve every corner, every part of the state, ensure that restraining orders, civil arrest warrants are conducted promptly for our state courts. Now, in a prior session, the legislature conducted a commission and a study of this issue, and the results of the study show what I've always known. There's not only a recruitment issue for the state marshals, but there's also an issue that these state jobs, just by the way they're structured without an insurance benefit, are really open to those who only have health care from another source. And for this reason, the demographics of our state marshal workforce skew extremely older, male, and white. Some of the most important work we do for the state are restraining orders. Almost 10,000 every year, every day are served. Right now, there's marshals who are at 15 courthouses around the state showing up at 12:30 and 4:30 to meet with those applicants and ensure that those orders get served immediately. So, like I said, it's getting harder to recruit people into these roles. This bill would fix a problem that we know exists. I don't think we can expect people to devote themselves to this kind of work without health insurance. So I'm happy to see that there's a desire to fix this, and obviously happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Representative DiCaprio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming in and testifying this morning. Are you on a state retirement plan in this position?
No, we're not.
You're not? Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Would you like us to amend the bill to include that, Representative?
Yeah,
We could.
sounds good to me.
Representative Delnicki.
I'm not asking you to amend the bill, but after hearing that comment, what else aren't you part of what a state employee should have in the way of benefits?
Well, I think the next thing would be workers' comp coverage. So one of my members is going to be testifying today, the dangers and the injuries he suffered in service to the state and executing warrants. So it would be workers' comp.
So you mentioned injuries, what type and how so?
One of my members was shot in the line of duty executing a warrant in Bridgeport, and he'll be before you this morning. Service of restraining orders. I mean, I've been pushed out of buildings, shoved down the stairs, things like that. Like when we get a restraining order from court, a lot of them get issued late in the day. So 4:30, 5 o'clock. In the wintertime, it's dark. We have to go and hit the streets and make sure that gets served immediately because the enforcement of that order only comes about once it's served. So my members in the marshals around the state really do an unsung job in that department every single day. And even on weekends, this is happening and being served. That's one of the most important functions we have for the state is the service of those orders. So, and they come with risk at the time because, as you can imagine, people are sometimes not happy to see us to get that news, to get that order that's enforced when we serve it. And there's other functions we do, including, like I said, civil arrest, evictions, emergency custody orders, notwithstanding divorces and other, civil actions that are filed in our courts concerning money, property, children. So the comp piece we would like to fix, but that's not the bill before us this morning and probably beyond the scope. But I do appreciate the question, Representative Delnicki.
Well, thank you for your testimony, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? All set? Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you.
Up next is Julia Driscoll. Is Julia here? Up next is Bill Myers. Is Bill Myers here? Up next is Richard Dina. Dina Richard, one or the other. Is that you, sir? No. Up next is Naheem Mills. Is Naheem Mills here? This usually happens to us when we get to about the midnight range. Up next is Vicky Steele. Is Vicky Steele here?
Yes, Vicky Steele is here.
All right, the floor is yours.
Hey, you guys. Good morning, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and your honorable members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Vicky Steele, and I'm a lead mental health assistant at Connecticut Valley Hospital. I'm here today to tell you that state employees should not be penalized for working overtime as required, and that you should oppose Senate Bill 24 and the act of preventing overtime payments from being used to calculate the retirement income of the state employees. I stand here today on my only day off because this is important to me. My story is a little unique. I'm a person in recovery from mental health and addiction. I suffered from a mental health crisis in my youth that led me to seek help in over 30 facilities for rehabilitation and detox. I'm here today where I am because of the people who dedicated themselves to helping me and believing in me. I know that what this program can do. I know firsthand what this program can do for people. I work in this field to advocate for those in recovery who have no one to advocate for them. However, I feel like the programs have shifted their approach to focus more on mental health management as opposed to recovery. And this is leading to a revolving door of our patients who are regularly back in our care. The young adults we treat are not getting what they need because we've got programs being cut, staff who are burnt out and stressed out and overwhelmed, and patients' needs have changed. They come with issues that require more time, more attention, and more personal on-site. You know that what it ends up meaning is that we do a lot of overtime and to be able to assist our patients with their care. Overtime is not just given because we want it, it's also because the need for treatment is there and no other staff is available. And not to mention, we have staff who are burnt out, staff who have gotten injured. And so it just makes it difficult for us that work in patient psych. And I am also proof that the program works when it's used correctly. I have gone from an inmate number to a state employee, and it's proof that recovery can occur. Recovery is possible, and people can change. A pension is the one major thing that keeps state employees here. It's a promise of all of our hard work and all of the missed times with family, friends, and I mean, we're missing out on times. This is my only day off, and I'm here because I felt like this was very important to me. So I'm not just gonna keep reading from the paper. I wanted to make this more personal, right? And thank you guys Please oppose Senate Bill 24 and keep pensions as valuable as they are. And as a person in recovery from mental health and addiction and has been in institutions all of my life for over 30 years, and finally I'm able to work and get a pension, you know, I want everything to count. And you guys be blessed, and thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of my story.
Thank you, and we're very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is Zach Hardy. Is Zach here? I figured that was you. The floor is yours.
Good morning, I believe still, maybe afternoon. Chairs Austin and Walker, Vice Chairs Hartley, Kushner, Exum, and Paris, and members of the committee. My name is Zach Hardy, and I am a Senior Manager of State Government Relations for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of HB 7233, which would create a Parkinson's disease research account managed by the Department of Public Health. Founded in 2000, the foundation has been singularly dedicated to finding a cure for Parkinson's disease through an aggressively funded research agenda and to ensuring the development of improved therapies for those living with Parkinson's today. To date, the foundation has funded more than $2 billion in research programs worldwide. Private philanthropic organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation have brought the search for Parkinson's treatments and a cure to a pivotal moment. Over the last 2 years, scientists have made groundbreaking discoveries, and now public investment is needed to capitalize on this momentum, accelerate progress, and deliver breakthrough treatments and a cure. Parkinson's disease is a growing public health and economic crisis. Yet there is currently no state in the country that has dedicated funding for Parkinson's research. By enacting HB 7233, Connecticut could become a model for the nation in demonstrating the importance of state investment in Parkinson's research. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Parkinson's disease is the second most common and the fastest growing neurological condition in the world. There are an estimated more than 1 million Americans currently living with Parkinson's disease, with about 90,000 more diagnosed each year. The national cost associated with Parkinson's is approximately $52 billion per year, with that cost projected to rise to nearly $80 billion by 2037. Here in Connecticut, the direct and indirect costs to care for the more than 12,000 people, which we believe to be an undercount, currently living with Parkinson's is estimated to be $617 million per year. The discovery of improved treatments and therapeutics and ultimately a cure for Parkinson's will not only change the lives of those living with Parkinson's and their families, but would also be in the best economic interest of the state. On behalf of the foundation and the community that we are proud to support, we urge the committee to vote favorably on HB 7233. I thank you for your consideration, and I also thank this committee and multiple members who have shared their personal stories, their connections to Parkinson's. When we speak out, we make change. So I really appreciate the committee's time on this bill.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? I think we made all our comments with the last speaker on this bill. So
Lynn did a great job, so I appreciate the commentary.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a nice day. Up next is Claudia Grantham. Is Claudia here? Online, Claudia?
Hello.
Claudia, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. I am Claudia Grantham. I'm a board member of the Children's Center of Hamden and a previous public school educator for 38 years. And I will reiterate that what Jim Muffat, our CEO, said, that we do have a school that serves our total community of troubled children. And when they can't work out well in the public sector, they come to us. It is only then that we can attract the teachers who have the special training and who have the ability to reach these children. We have facilities that offer them special programs and one-on-one and get them through their educational process. I would hope that you would totally continue our ability to have teacher retirement for our teachers, because as he said, we can't pay them what the districts are paying their teachers. I thank you all for your time. I appreciate the time you spend on appropriations. It's rigorous, I know, but we would appreciate your continuing our ability to have teacher retirement for our teachers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. No comments or questions. You're all set. Up
Thank
next
you.
is Chris Sanford. Is Chris Sanford here? All righty, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Appropriations in the afternoon. My name is,
Under the
yeah, just made it in. My name is Chris Sanford, and I am the head of school at the Woodstock Academy. Why I do work at Woodstock, I do want to make a mention to Representative Nolan that I am a very proud citizen of the great city of New London. So that's important.
No, no, we won't be able to live with him all day.
I drive through your town every day to work, though, so it's okay. I just want to, the Woodstock Academy is a member of the CIAC CAS, and we are strongly opposed to Senate Bill 1524. I did submit testimony, and I cannot provide any better testimony than we heard or read, if you haven't read it yet, from Administrator Sullivan. But it's important to know that the CIAC CAS is not a school, and nor do they manage schools. The staff of CIAC and CAS are not teachers as defined by state statute. As we heard from the executive director of the CIAC, he compared themselves to RESCs. We all know that RESC actually run schools, and they oversee children and they educate them. We all know that CIAC does not do that. If you are looking for a way to expand the TRS, the Teachers Retirement System, there are a bunch of other groups that I would put in front of CAS, if that's something that the committee really wants to do. I think paraprofessionals should remember the Teachers Retirement Board, as well as independent school teachers. They play a much better role and a much stronger role in educating our youth and our state than the staff at the CIAC. So I know all of you do have a lot of work. And I want to thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of the citizens of Connecticut. I shortened my testimony thinking it was going to be around 5 o'clock, so that's why that's all I have. So thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, I will take it.
You know, Representative Nolan, I told you he wasn't going to be able to
He
live
used to
with
be
him.
he used to be my rep of redistrict, so I don't.
Oh, okay. Representative Nolan.
You said something of great importance about the city of New London. Could you just repeat that one more time?
Closer. The best city in the state of Connecticut.
Oh.
On the record. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you. Up next is Ryan Shukis. Is Ryan Shukis here? No. Okay, up next is Bill Garrity. I saw you here earlier. Floor is yours.
And I feel like I really messed up wearing white today. I should have worn black.
I know.
Good. My written testimony starts with good evening. I'm normally doing this so late at night. So good afternoon, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and for the first time, my rep from Plainville, Rebecca Martinez. It's nice to see you. Very proud of her. I'd like to take the time today to speak on my concerns on Senate Bill 24, an act preventing overtime payments from being used to calculate the retirement income for state employees. And again, my name is Bill Garrity. I've been a registered nurse for more than 35 years, 29 years as a proud state employee in state service. I am currently the president of UHP, University Health Professionals, AFT Connecticut Local 3837. I represent 3,400 members there. Healthcare, education, and research members. I'm also the Divisional Vice President for Public Employees at AFT Connecticut, representing 31,000 members. And I'd like to get into my testimony by saying, here we go again. I've spoken against similar bills in the past, and my beliefs have only grown stronger. Healthcare personnel I represent and cannot be here today want you to know much of the overtime that we do is forced. We do not always want to stay, but we're there to take care of the patients and protect the public. UHP members in nursing, radiology, laboratory medicine, APRNs, and PAs all work and care for the public. I'd love to say, and you've heard it already today, but this is a problem that could be fixed. Hiring enough staff to take care of the public effectively, make sure we have enough bodies to care for the patients, and this problem goes away. What I can say for a fact is hiring and staffing appropriately works. Since the nursing staffing bill was passed in 2023, UConn Health has stepped up where some other hospitals have not. Yukon Health has provided the state with required staffing plans that were put together and agreed upon by actual floor staff doing the care. Yukon Health follows those plans, and in most cases, staff morale and patient safety have gone up. Both a win-win. I would love to see other systems we have utilize that type of planning, radiology, lab medicine, corrections, those type of things make a big difference. This is part of a testimony I wrote for the same bill in 2018. The premise in the question remains the same. You heard it better from Dan Livingston. He's better at numbers. But with the CBAC agreement in 2017, any CSRS Tier 2A employee that would be anyone hired after 1998 will be paying 4% to their pension. Using round numbers, if that employee makes $100,000, they'd be paying $4,000 directly into their pension. Now let's assume they make $25,000 in overtime. That's another $1,000 that would automatically be contributed to their pension. So would we be paying into it, but not be able to see the benefits of those contributions? SB 24 is just another attack on state employees. These attacks need to stop. We've worked very hard to serve the citizens of Connecticut. I again would like to thank you for your time, your ear, and as always, I always want to say thank you to the staff here. I don't ever want to forget saying thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
You'll get in every time.
Maybe my numbers will come down.
Yeah. Are there any other comments? Thanks, Bill. You're all
Great
set.
day, guys.
You too. Is is Efren Escobar here? Efren, the floor is yours, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dear esteemed members of the legislature and all the frontline staff and all the prisons and jails in Connecticut that couldn't be here today because they're working, but will watch this later on YouTube. Good morning. My name is Efren Escobar. I'm 52 years old. I've been a state employee for 26 years, the last 16 as a correction officer. That's half my life I dedicated to the state of Connecticut. And in addition, I also did 6 years with the Connecticut Army National Guard, the 1102nd HHC out of New Haven, right next door to Whaley Ave. Just wanted to get that out of the way. I've served the people of Connecticut tirelessly and honorably for 31 of my 52 years. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut in the 1970s and 80s, surrounded by drugs, violence, and poverty. State employment allowed my family and I to make it into the middle class. And for that, I'm thankful. But I've had to earn everything the old-fashioned way through hard work and determination. In over 26 years of state service, I've never been suspended or gotten a bad work evaluation. I have never had the privilege to work from home. I've had to work during blizzards, pandemics, holidays, weekends, and major milestones in my family life. Because of my unwavering support and dedication to my job, I have irreparably damaged relationships with my wife and children. In February 2013, during a major blizzard, the snow was up to my knees. While my wife was at home with our 2 small children, I was stuck at the Bridgeport jail on North Ave from Friday afternoon until Monday morning. No one came to help us. My lieutenants told me, hey, try and keep everything cool with the inmates because we don't have staff to respond if something happens. Yeah, I was concerned about my safety, but I stayed there and did my job. I took an oath to uphold the values and mission of the Connecticut Department of Correction, and I just expect the state to also uphold their commitment and promises to me. I'm not stealing money or spiking my pension when I work overtime. I'm protecting the public from murderers, rapists, gang members, drug dealers, child molesters, etc. It has been very disheartening and downright disrespectful to hear that some state officials and members of the public don't think I deserve the pension that I was promised and that I've earned. It's not easy to get up every day and go work in a place where no one appreciates you or wants to go work at. Connecticut used to get 10,000 applicants to be correction officers. Not anymore. You should appreciate the ones you have right now on the front line. A lot of my colleagues have been seriously injured or committed suicide during my state service. We all suffer from some form of PTSD. We witness and respond to violence on a daily basis. We are under attack every day, either by inmates, inmate advocates, or the media. These attacks take different forms and they affect us in many ways, but we still serve with dignity and respect. My brothers and sisters in corrections deserve better. Nowadays, some of you folks treat inmates better than you treat us. I hope my testimony today illustrates to you that we are not just numbers on a spreadsheet that you can crunch, but human beings worthy of much more reverence and consideration than we've been shown. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your testimony.
Up next is Nathaniel Figueroa. Nathaniel here. Up next is Mary Jordan. Is Mary here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak loud, Mary. Your mic is, so speak into your mic.
Okay, how's this?
Good, better.
All righty. Good afternoon. We just turned the corner. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Jordan. I am a teacher. I'm certified in social studies and French for middle school students. I'm the president of the Norwalk Federation of Teachers and a vice president at large for AFT Connecticut. Our members include more than 15,000 teachers, paraprofessionals, school nurses, including counselors, school psychologists, social workers, and other school personnel across the state. I'm speaking on behalf of certified AFT Connecticut members to express our support for the intent of SB 779. However, we cannot support the bill in its current form without key changes that would ensure both the protection of the teaching profession and long-term stability of the teacher retirement system. The teacher shortage requires meaningful improvements to working conditions, professional respect, salaries, manageable class sizes, staffing, and sufficient planning time. And in the interim, retirees are a valuable resource, particularly for hard-to-fill positions. Currently, retirees can fill certified positions under limited conditions, like shortage areas. They can get full pay for up to 2 years in some circumstances, and otherwise they're capped at 45% of their regular earnings. SB 779 appears to aim at lifting the 45% cap, allowing broader reemployment of retirees to help address staffing changes. But if the bill removes the 45% rule, new guardrails must be added to protect early career educators and the health of the pension fund. Here's what we think could make it acceptable. If we were able to add something to prioritize non-retired candidates, districts should be required to demonstrate good faith efforts to hire qualified non-retired applicants before they hire a retiree. And this would ensure opportunities for new and early career educators to enter the profession. Also, retirees should have a limit. There should be a 1-year position available to retirees. At the end of that year, the position could be reposted under the same circumstances, open to all candidates. And if no qualified non-retiree applies, then the retiree could be reemployed. And finally, a big concern exists with the pension fund. Reemployed retirees will reduce the number of active contributors to the teacher's retirement system. To manage this and mitigate it, districts employing retirees should be required to contribute to the pension fund on behalf of the retiree that's working. This would help to preserve the fund's stability and would incentivize districts to improve working conditions to attract and retain new talent. We deeply value the contributions of retired educators, but any solution to the teacher shortage problem should also protect the future of the profession. With these adjustments, we feel we could support SB 779. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate you outlining some corrections that could happen on that piece of legislation. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, you're all set. Up next is Phyllis Airy. Is Phyllis here? Floor is yours.
This works, yeah. Good afternoon, Senator Alston, Representative Walker, and members of the Appropriation Committee. My name is Phyllis Erie. I am a Connecticut State Marshal for the Hartford County. I am one of a handful of women in this position. As a matter of fact, I am the only African-American Black Marshal in the entire state. Everyone knows we need more women, people of color, bilingual, and younger people to take on these positions. We need the marshal system to be more reflective of our community, and it has not been the case. When I took the exam to become a marshal, there was approximately 1,000 applicants at the time. On the last exam given, there was less than 150 people who applied. The state marshal system was created to allow a broader spectrum of qualified people to serve the state of Connecticut as public officials in this position. The job is physical, mental, and many times emotional, in which can take a role on our health. Having health insurance as preventive measures to our health is extremely important. Asking people to do a very dangerous job for the state without health insurance is no longer working. The demographics of our state marshal will never change without access to affordable health. 80 to 85% of the legal documents I serve are in-hand serves. 90 of those defendants or respondents, they show up in court. I contribute this to being taken as unassuming, familiar to the people in my community. They're comfortable to open their doors and have conversation. So again, I am among the relatively few women in this position, and I want to help women and minorities follow my path. But this health insurance barrier still exists. I believe the simple change will diversify the state marshal and strengthen the system for the future by providing quality access to health care for state marshals. This will open state marshals' position to more people. I ask that the Appropriation Committee support Bill SB 1526. Thanks. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Representative Walker.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony today. Can you just quickly tell me what is the procedure to become a marshal? Do you take an application?
Right, you submit the application when it's open, and it's not open very often. Once you submit the application, and you are then required to take a 4-hour exam, aptitude test. If you pass that exam, then you are selected. I don't know what the selection process is, but you're selected to then go through an interview process, and then you're selected from that process.
And who does the selections?
The state commission.
The state commission. And you are the only Black state marshal that you know of? in this
No,
room?
I'm the only black woman.
I mean, black woman. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yes.
My bad. No, but, and you've been a marshal for how long?
I'm going on 10 years. In the entire 10 years, I've been the only black woman.
That says it needs to be reviewed.
And the reason why I point out the percentage of in-hand is to show how, it could be beneficial when you have diversity.
Yes, there's especially, yes, thank you. Thank you very much for bringing that to us. Thank you.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here today. I know what you're going through. I was a marshal for 11 years. At that time, we were screaming for health insurance. At that time, I switched from the state welfare to work for the state marshal. So I know what you're going through, and I know because we worked many years looking for health insurance, and it was impossible. But I also know what you're going through right now. I know because the way it composed the board, I know that sometimes people feel like that's a white world. And I know the way they've been trained minority there because I have a lot of friends there. So I really agree with you. I think that we have to revise and do a lot of changes to the state marshal. I think it's really, for so many years, I was waiting, it never happened. And then after I got elected, I did pass a bill to help the state marshal. But I know that it's not enough. I think that we have to do more. So thank you for being here today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes. Representative Reyes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Airy, for being here. And I just want to follow up on your testimony. So you've been in the as a state marshal for 10 years. What is your rank?
There's no actual rank. You're
So-
a state marshal.
So in the position you came in 10 years ago, that's exactly the same position you're in right now?
Correct, yeah.
And how, I'm interested in seeing as you're the only black woman there, I'm interested in what is the makeup of the team that you're with on a daily basis, just out of curiosity?
Well, we're individual contractors. We do build relationships for maybe backup or resources. We do share, to share information. Majority, I believe I have some numbers here. One minute. I guess I eliminated it, but I can tell you that out of the possible 200, no, I think it's like 170 something. I thought I had that in my thing here. 170 something marshals. I want to say 95% is white males. The other 5% is women, and I'm the only black woman. So I think that's a good percentage.
Well, thank you very much for your testimony. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and thank you very much for your testimony. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Next, Liz
Gustafson. Gustafson.
Gustafson?
She's on.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and esteemed members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Liz Gustafson, and thank you so much for the opportunity to testify in support of HB 7233, which would create a Parkinson's disease research account managed by the Department of Public Health. So while in my professional capacity, I do testify in support of a lot of legislation, but today I am testifying in support of HB 7233 in honor of my father who had Parkinson's, as he was an advocate himself, both for his fellow veterans as well as for those living with Parkinson's and their families. Additionally, to this day, my mother is still involved with various support groups to help individuals, families, and caretakers as they support those that they love who are living with Parkinson's, as well as support one another. And legislation like HB 7233 is not only personal, but its passage and the investment in research of this neurological disease would benefit other individuals and families like my father and my own family. And the discovery of improved treatments and therapeutics and ultimately a cure for Parkinson's will change the lives of those living with Parkinson's and their families. And our state should absolutely invest in research that would help make this future a reality. So with that, I urge the committee to support HB 7233. And thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set. Up next is Dr. Marlo Grappone online. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. I'm Dr. Marlo Grappone, and I'm the Executive Director of the Human Resources Agency of New Britain, Inc., a community action agency that provides essential services to thousands of Connecticut residents each year. We partner with state agencies to deliver programs that address the critical needs of families, including early childhood education, workforce development, housing assistance, and health and wellness services. And I'm here today to speak with you and submit testimony in support of Race Bill number 7232, an act concerning efforts to streamline state contracting. In addition, I commend the committee for raising this bill and drawing attention to the urgent need to improve Connecticut's state contracting and payment processes. The current system is at times inefficient and inconsistent, creating undue burdens on nonprofit service providers and ultimately the communities we serve. This bill proposed reviews of state agency staffing levels and contracting bottlenecks and payment delays, and it reflects a vital step towards systemic reform. Of particular importance to providers like HRA are the following provisions. Assessment of adequate staffing, because delays in contract execution are often the result of understaffed or underburdened state departments. Understanding where capacity must be built is essential for timely processing. Reviewing of tiered procurement processes. When multiple agencies and legal departments are involved, the processes become duplicative and delays service delivery. Examination of payment policies. Nonprofits frequently operate without executed contracts for extended periods while continuing to serve clients. Payments lag and they create financial instability and can jeopardize program continuity. Master contracts and carry forward funding, exploring more flexible tools such as amendable master contracts and the ability to use carry forward funds would provide much needed agility in maintaining essential services. In addition to these important points, I want to emphasize the intersectional impact of delayed contracting and the expectations that providers continue operations and meet the full scope of performance and accountability standards without the corresponding resources. When we commit staffing, supplies, and services to a project without an executed contract or timely payment, we are drawing from other limited resources. This creates internal strain and forces us to make difficult decisions, often at the expense of other critical programs. Yet, despite these barriers, nonprofit providers are still held to rigid performance standards and reporting requirements as though the full scope of resources were provided on time. There's a fundamental misalignment between the timing of contractual obligations and the enforcement of accountability measures. If the state does not provide timely, predictable support, it is unrealistic and unjust to expect optimal and uninterrupted performance. Accountability must be grounded in equity. There must be alignment between the delivery expectations and the resources that enable those expectations to be met. We stand ready to support this effort and offer our expertise as a service provider working within the state's current contracting system. The health and well-being of Connecticut's most vulnerable residents depends on efficient, timely, and reliable public-private partnerships. Streamlining the contracting process is not just an administrative fix, it's a moral imperative. So I urge you to pass Raise Bill number 7232, and thank you for your leadership in addressing this long-standing issue.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Up next is Alicia Bowman. Is Alicia here? No. Up next is Jacqueline Alex. Jacqueline? The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and members of the Appropriation Committee. I am Jacqueline Alex, Correction Officer and volunteer firefighter and EMT. Like many before me today, I am here to oppose Senate Bill 24, which would strip state employees, including correction officers, first responders, and others, of the retirement security we have earned from pension calculations. This bill punishes the very people who risk their lives every day to keep Connecticut's prisons and communities safe. Correction officers don't just work overtime, we are forced to. The state refuses to hire enough staff, so we are mandated to work exhausting, often dangerous shifts just to keep facilities running. We don't get to say no. We miss holidays, birthdays, and milestones with our families, sacrificing our personal lives to protect our coworkers, the inmates, and the public. The state benefits from our forced overtime, saving money by overworking us instead of hiring more officers. And now, after wringing every last hour out of us, this bill would deny us the retirement security that overtime was supposed to help us build. For me, working overtime isn't a choice, it's survival. As a single mother, I don't get to have a second income earner to rely on. The long hours I put in are to provide my child with a better life, knowing that my pension would one day reflect the years of sacrifice. If Senate Bill 24 passes, that trade-off will no longer be worth it. Why should I or any other officer continue putting our bodies and minds through this relentless schedule if the state is going to turn its back on us at retirement time? Why should new people apply to get this job? This is one of the reasons why the Department of Corrections is struggling to hire officers to meet minimum staffing levels. This is not just about fairness, it's about the survival, like I mentioned. The life expectancy of a correction officer, as we know, is under 60 years old. I buried a coworker and a friend just last week who was in his 30s. This job causes so much stress on our bodies that at some point we can't handle it. That's where the PTSD, the addiction, cardiac, and obesity problems arise. The state has no problem demanding we push ourselves to the breaking point while we are working, but now it wants to shortchange us in retirement too? How much more can you take from us before there's nothing left? We saw this during COVID-19. While others worked from home, we showed up knowing we could get sick. Around 5,000 correctional staff in Connecticut suffered 7,000 infections. I was one of them. I got COVID-19 on Thanksgiving Day in the medical unit at York Correctional Facility in 2020. We risked our health, our family's health, and in some cases, our lives. And this is how we're going to be repaid? Senate Bill 24 is an insult to every officer who has sacrificed their time, health, and safety for this job. It sends a clear message. The state is happy to exploit us when it's convenient, but ready to discard us when we're no longer useful. It's no wonder the department is struggling to hire and retain officers. Who would sign up for this job knowing the state won't honor its commitments? What appeal does this job hold over private sector employment for us? This bill doesn't just hurt officers, it hurts Connecticut. Most retired correction officers don't take their pensions and leave. We spend them here where our families are. supporting local businesses, and keeping the state's economy as strong as possible. Taking this money from our pensions means taking money out of Connecticut's communities. Enough is enough. The state can't have it both ways. If you force us to work overtime, that income must count towards our retirement and our pensions. You can't exploit us while we're working and then shortchange us at retirement. I urge you to oppose Senate Bill 24 and stand with the officers who put everything on the line for the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Up next is Arthur Quinn. Is Arthur Quinn here?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Arthur Quinn. I'm a Connecticut State Marshal from Litchfield County. I'm also the chairman of the State Marshals Advisory Board. I'm here to speak in support of Senate Bill 1526, an act concerning health benefits for state marshals. Our job as Connecticut State Marshals serves an important function in the operation of our court system, but has become substantially more dangerous in recent years with the escalation of threats while conducting evictions, capious warrant arrests, serving temporary restraining orders, civil protection orders, or just the simple service of a summons to court. I want to give you an idea of the dangers we face in service to the state of Connecticut. As one of my other coworkers, State Marshal Mezek, referenced earlier, I'm the one that was shot. On October 6, 2009, I was shot twice while I was executing a capious warrant for the courts. While attempting to take a subject into custody, the subject opened the door and immediately opened fire on myself and my partner. I was shot in both the right arm, left foot. Now, 15 years later, I still battle ongoing medical issues as a result of this incident. I was left out of work for over 6 months, unable to provide for my family, and the medical bills almost drove my family to bankruptcy. This bill is badly needed to fix this issue to ensure no other Connecticut State Marshal has to face the potential for massive medical bills as I did. It is also important to add health benefit for our jobs, as you heard testimony earlier today, because it's becoming extremely difficult recruiting new appointees to take on the responsibilities and risks that come with the job of state marshal without the very basic benefit of health insurance. 10 years ago, our recruitment numbers netted 1,000 plus applicants. During the last 2 recruitments in 2022 and 2024, we've seen the applicants dwindle to only 140 and 185. I believe the last one we just did recruitment in December, our number was around 185 for the total applicants. 131 right now are in the testing pool, according to our director, for tested, which it's ongoing right now as we speak. We are down to a low number of 158 marshals in the state of Connecticut. So we're, as the chairman of the advisory board, I'm pretty involved with the recruitment process, and this is definitely one of our concerns, is the recruitment and the low numbers of marshals that we're getting. During the follow-up feedback that we've gotten from the last couple groups, we've learned that many potential applicants chose not to apply due to our lack of health insurance, citing the inherent daily dangers of our job. I encourage the committee to make this overdue change regarding health care for the future of the state marshal system. I ask for your support of Senate Bill 1526, and thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Just 1 minute, Tim. So I'm looking online on the State Marshal Commission. You make this State Marshal Advisory Board just started this last year?
No, we were created. The State Marshals Advisory Board was created in 99-2000 when the conversion came over from the old deputy sheriff system. It was a statutorily created board, and we help advise the State Marshal Commission, which is our agency.
And the State Marshal Commission, I'm looking online right now, and the last minutes I see were from 24. Do they meet regularly?
They do.
So do they meet monthly? Do they meet?
They do. I believe there's an issue with the state website, and the minutes are posted on the Secretary of State's page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a conversion with the state site, I believe, recently, and there's a link on there, if you notice, where you had to link to another site. It's a little messed up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. To see our most recent go here. And a previous speaker spoke to the hiring. Do you know what the process is to hire somebody as a state marshal?
Sure.
once the application is made?
Sure. So, I mean, I'll start right at the beginning. So last time when we did it in 2022, we actually put it out for a short, I think part of our numbers back then might have been the timeline. It was put out for December 1st or 31st was the application period to submit your application. A lot of people aren't applying for job around the holidays, so I attributed part of that to the time period of the open application period. This time, we actually, through the State Marshals Advisory Board, worked with the commission and proposed that they open it for 3 months, which our director agreed with. And actually, I believe we ended up with a 4-month open window. Of that, we actually expanded the application process. So some people have to provide their background information up front. There's a credit report, items of that nature, motor vehicle report that need to be provided. That helps to dwindle down our pool, which brought us down. I believe there's 300. I don't have the exact number. I could provide that to you later. I believe there's just over 300 applicants. I believe 180 shook out in order to take the test, and 131 have signed up. But after the application is submitted, they schedule testing. There's a background that goes on in the meantime. Then there's an interview process, 100 hours of road training, and approximately 40 hours of classroom training.
Okay, and do you have any documents that would like sort of give us an idea on how
The flow?
Yes,
We could get that to you.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. We could provide that.
Representative Acker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here and your information. I truly appreciate that. You mentioned being injured on the job. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for your sacrifice and service, by the way.
Thank you.
Do you fall under like self-employed right now, or how is your, because that would, you said medical bills, and I'm thinking workman's comp. Was there any, and I know it's a percentage, it's not the full recovery. So did you receive any kind of support in that manner?
No, we're sworn peace officers for the state. So at the time, I had private pay health insurance with extremely high deductibles.
Oh, I know it. I have a small business. I know how bad it is, to be honest with you. So, thank you for that answer. This is a bill that came through labor a number of times, and I supported it through there until we.
Thank you.
But now it's, now you gotta, it's the funding component, right? So it's good to vote it out of one committee, but when it has to get the money, it's gotta come out of here. But again, thank you for your testimony. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are there any other comments? Representative Exum.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your testimony and for all you do. I was just curious, one quick question. What is the optimal amount of marshals?
Ideally, our number is between 180 and 190.
180 and 190?
Yeah, our statutory cap is around 300, but we've never, ever in the history hit that number. The ideal number would be 180 to 190.
And right now you have 158?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your
Thank
testimony.
you.
Anybody else? Representative Reyes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just out of curiosity, so at 158, how many right now are out on workers' comp right now?
We don't have the ability to submit for workers' comp, so that would be 0.
So how many are out injured right now?
I'm not aware of that number. I wouldn't know. We can research that and get back to you, though.
That's interesting. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you, Madam Chair.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
take care of yourself. Take care of your
Thank you.
family.
Thank you for your time.
Christina Kappen. Is Christina here? Emma King. Emma King here. Come on, Emma. Get up here.
This one's on, right? Okay. Chairwoman Austin, Chairwoman Walker, Vice Chairs Hartley, Kushner, Exum, and Paris, and Ranking Members Nuccio and Summers. To all the members of the Appropriations Committee, thank you for your time today. I'm Emma Petrie Antonio King, and I'm the Vice President and Chief Program Officer over at Access Community Action in Willimantic and Danielson. And I come before you today to speak in support of HB 7232, an act concerning efforts to streamline state contracting. Community action agencies provide vital health and human services support to some of the most vulnerable individuals and households in Connecticut. Access is very proud to serve the 26 towns in Windham and Tallinn County and bring vital programming to reduce income inequality, address food insecurity and homelessness in some of the most rural areas of our state. We support important initiatives funded through contracts from the Connecticut Department of Social Services, the Connecticut Department of Children and Families, the Connecticut Department of Housing, and the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Access supports this bill, which would conduct a review of state contracting process and payment policies for service providers and nonprofits, including ways to streamline and expedite these processes and policies. Contract payment and delays are systemic. The long-standing problems that come with them cross many state agencies, and Access continues to deal with the after effects of these delays. This includes contracts pending execution for months, some since before the start of a fiscal year, leading to lost or unspent funds, forcing some agencies within our network to tap into lines of credit or reserves to ensure the continuity of those services. This is not a sustainable practice and threatens both the availability of critical services to Connecticut residents who need them the most and the fiscal well-being of nonprofit human service providers. Access has experienced the challenges of these delays firsthand. We've had to delay hiring as contract executions have dragged on for months, and when a contract is finally executed, its start date is months in the past, leading to lost or unspent funds and a frustration among staff that we could have served so many more in our community if contracts and services had started on time. Recently, we had a contract budget reduction handed down to our agency with less than 3 days before the programmatic start date, which resulted in the layoff of staff and a requirement and need for us to quickly shift program operations. This makes it very difficult for us to meet contractual obligations when execution and communication are so inconsistent. In closing, the time has come to review and change the state contracting and payment process, and this bill will go a long way to initiate this change. I urge the committee to support HB 7232, and I thank you for your consideration and for your service to the state.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Representative Ackert. And I was wondering, Emma,
Yep.
So what is the best state in Connecticut? Because Representative Nolan has said the best city.
What's the best city in Connecticut?
Yeah, because Representative Nolan had somebody come and say it was New London. And, I think that you represent some other towns that are,
I'm going to say I'm very proud to be from the town of Killingly, which encourages also include, and I work in Willimantic. But I also feel like I can't say anything bad about New London because I used to work for Representative Courtney, so I can't. I'm going to go like that.
Federal doesn't count, it's just a state.
I know.
Yes.
We love you. No.
Representative Ackert.
Who?
How does
I know, but
Vince
Coventry.
King forget about their birthplace?
I know. I
of
know.
great town
The
of-
great town of Coventry.
Can you do this with your other?
I have so much love to give for all 169 Connecticut municipalities.
And Emma, you do. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
It concerns me
Sure.
that we have this legislation here.
Mhm.
Is there an example that you can, and maybe, I want to say, a reason why a department says we can't get to the deadline, we can't, is there an example that you can provide? Because
Sure.
as somebody that has supported Access in the past and will continue to,
Yep.
and know the good work that you do,
Mhm.
that if you can't fulfill an obligation that, you have a program, we can't complete this. What has been some of the issues that you've run across? If you can answer those.
Well, one, thank you for the question and thank you for your service. Coventry is my hometown, so proud to be a Coventry resident. So typically we hear the following, which is it's delayed at either OPM or the Attorney General, and we're waiting on feedback on that language. We've had a couple instances in which contracts were supposed to be standalone independent contracts, and then the Department of Social Services, for example, based on feedback, then has them become an amendment to like our existing CSBG contract, which has its own set of challenges as you're trying to insert new programming into an existing contract. Other reasons we've gotten for, and some of the example I said about the budget cut that came down with 3 days before we were supposed to start energy applications. Some of that is just we get communication on changes to contracts, to expectations so late. it's challenging. I mean, we're expected to provide a service. The Connecticut Energy Assistance Program is a vital program to keep Connecticut residents safe and warm through the winter months. We are a cold weather state. Access has served over 7,000 households with energy assistance benefits in some of the most rural areas of Connecticut. With 3 days to go, we were asked to make a budget shift in core, and we had to lay off staff because the admin support we received for the program was cut. That meant delays on applications going forward because we then had less staff to complete applications. So, we just, Access and the other community action agencies are ready to be as flexible as we can and as creative as we can to serve the needs of the state of Connecticut. However, what we're asking in return is just some communication and some consistency among state agencies in the way contracts are executed and payments are remitted. We had been waiting on a payment from the Department of Housing, a quarterly payment for our rapid rehousing contract. Our fiscal director sent an email saying, "Hey, we haven't been paid for the January through March. What's going on?" A couple days go by, just following up. Is everything okay? No, okay. Following up again, and the answer was, "We don't know what happened, but here you go. Don't worry about it. We got you the payment today." And it's like it's this peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys that make it very hard for us to continue to provide that high quality service. And we're really proud of the services we provide at Access, and I want to have us continue to do so. And our network is so proud of being able to be partners to state agencies to pilot fun, exciting new initiatives. But we're continually met with some of these roadblocks that make the delivery of those services to our most needy challenging. So I really thank you for your time. I'm the second to last person, so let's go, Chairwoman, and I can let you guys get to our last speaker if there's no more questions, but I know it's been a long day.
Hold on 1 minute, Emma. Are you all set, Representative?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for being here and giving me those type of examples. I think that, and to your point, sometimes you don't know what the problem was, but here's your check.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, the commissioners and individuals in the departments that are having this look within themselves without having to have a piece of legislation to look at that also. So I'm hoping that you fix the problems. I had a meeting with my employees today and just asking how we can be better as a small company. So serving my clients, I think that the state needs to look within itself without having to have legislation to look into why there's a problem. Sure. Fix the problem.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Thank you
And
for
we
what you
want to
do.
be a partner to that as well. So I can't emphasize that enough. We understand if there are changes that need to be made at the organizational level to support the contracting work, we're a partner in this. Obviously, we're a partner in this. But some of these challenges, we need some legislative support.
Representative Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Emma, for your testimony.
Absolutely. Maybe here.
Unfortunately, Representative Acker, it's been going on for at least 10 years.
Yes.
And we've been fighting it, and that's why we got to this legislation, because monies that we did through ARPA, it took years. I mean, took years to get that distributed. Contracts that were supposedly in the Attorney General's office, they just sat on desks, and we called and called and called. And the sad thing is that they are the front line in many, many communities. So we said we'll have to legislate. And I hope everybody on appropriations will support this, because this is not, you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
Nonprofits shouldn't have to get credit lines to do their work.
We agree.
That's totally against what the definition of a nonprofit is.
Yes.
And yet I know almost every single one of your agencies has to have a credit line in order to do the work that we ask them to do.
Yes.
So I do support so. Thank you, Madam.
And it is challenging to also sit in meetings about potential new contracts, but have to always have the conversation. Well, if it gets delayed, we will have to do X. We'll have to shift somebody here if we don't get that extended, or it doesn't get renewed, or we can't carry forward. And we have those conversations, those operational conversations almost weekly as we're trying to navigate the rollout of new programming. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Anybody else? You're all set, Emma.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Up next and last is Sharon White online.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Sharon. Go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon, Senator
Yep. Keep going.
Olson. I'm sorry, Senator Olson, Representative Walker, and honorable members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Sharon White, and I am from Cromwell. I am a mental health associate at CVH, Connecticut Valley Hospital, where I have been employed for over 20 years. And today, I am urging you to oppose Senate Bill 24, an act preventing overtime payment from being used to calculate the retirement income for the state employees. This would be robbing employees like myself and dozens of others behind me. I work with the STAR program. The STAR program is Sisters Together Achieving Recovery, and it's a specialized program designed exclusively for female patients undergoing rehabilitation. Our program at one point was recognized as one of the best in the country, a model for other states. It was accredited and highly regarded. However, a few years back, the program was cut and has not been reinstated to its full strength or effectiveness. Currently, the STAR access is currently severely limited, leaving female patients failing and falling through the cracks. Our program has been understaffed, and since it's resumed, it's showing our staff are working long days. Many are skipping their lunch and barely step off the floor because our patients have significant needs, and we are trying to meet all of their needs. We've recently seen hiring of workers, but they're all seem to be part-time, and it's not eliminating the overtime. All of them seem to be part-time staff members, which sometimes, in some cases, are more detrimental than helpful to our patients. Many of the patients thrive off of consistency of their care. And when they are seeing multiple faces throughout the day and not seeing the same person again for weeks or even more, it's not helpful. Instead, we need to invest in hiring full-time staff workers for these positions. It will help the patients, but it will also minimize the necessary overtime. More often than not, the overtime, it will lessen our mandates. We are being told by our supervisors we need to work the shifts or face losing our jobs. Now you want to penalize us further for working these overtime shifts that we didn't want to work. They want to remove the long hours that we put in back when we didn't want to put in, taking us away from our families that we didn't want to do, that calculated into our time. However, that's not fair. Instead of penalizing the workers who have done nothing but try to provide the best care for those who we work with, why not invest in them, help fill the positions in our programs so that we have the staff that the patients need to support that we need to do our jobs to the fullest. And so we are not having to work these endless hours. Oppose Senate Bill 24 and instead address the problem from the root of the issue, provide enough staffing, minimize the overtime happening in our agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're all set. Madam Administrator, could you let us know if we have what our next bank of business is going to be?
On April 3rd is our next public hearing.
And do you know how many bills we have that at all? How many bills do we put on that public?
I believe there are 11.
Oh, 11 and 11. Thank you very much. We're going to end our public hearing here today and take all of the testimony under consideration. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.